Yeah, the derivatives notional values and Bank of America greatly exceed their assets. And a lot of times people like to use the excuse of netting and bilateral netting offsetting their notional values and that the fact that they're notional, which in my opinion is just a cop out. You know, the reality is that if something doesn't work out in times of great volatility, in times of great market stress, uh, a lot of the bilateral netting efficacy is out the window, and that leaves a significant risk to these banks without
Yeah,
question.
I mean, yeah, oh, for sure. And I mean, well, we were just talking about, I don't know if you heard, but Jeff and I, when you just come on, we were talking about Warren Buffett and, him dumping like a literal metric ass ton of BMA stock, which tells me two things. One, for me, I would stay the fuck away from B of A. That's just me. But number two, like Warren Buffett, his mantra forever has been buy stocks and hold them forever. Like that's kind of like his like mantra. And for me, that just tells me when he's going cash heavy, shit's about to hit the fan because somebody always knows. Somebody always knows.
It's more of the same
So
with these guys. And all these banks are pretty much in the same position, whether it be Bank of America, JP Morgan, Goldman, they're all in rough shape.
oh yeah, there's there's so much exposure to the derivatives. It's mental. It's a mental institution. It doesn't even like it. It blows my mind the sheer volume of exposure the top five have. It's more now than the last time I looked. It's like 200 trillion.
Yeah,
It's
it went up massively. Last quarter, it was around 189 trillion or so in total derivatives from these from the 1,026 financial institutions and their partners, and it went up by over $13 trillion in the last quarter alone to over 200 trillion now. So yeah, it actually went up I think around 16 trillion in one quarter.
so the so the question is that's more that's way the fuck more money than exists on Earth. Who the hell do we owe? Alpha Centauri? Like is Jupiter got us like do we owe the VIG to Jupiter for protecting us from all the comets? Like what's going on? Like how does it's mental. It's absolutely mental. And no wonder our system's broken and no wonder it's gonna fall apart is because they do stupid shit like this. And I mean we need a reset. We really need a reset. We need to get back to a gold backed currency. We need a currency that actually like has something behind it. So like I remember growing up hearing, oh Fort Knox and all the gold in Fort Knox. That was the big for I wouldn't do this and this for all the gold in Fort Knox. There ain't no fucking gold in Fort Knox anymore.
There's nothing. No, there's nothing left. It's all been pilfered.
Yeah, it's empty as shit. And that's dangerous. I mean, our currency is literally paper. That's it. And they're just printing more and more paper. And yeah, that's where our inflation. I mean, people who don't understand inflation, that's literally where our inflation is coming from. They're just printing so much fucking money that each piece of paper is worth less and less and less and less.
People
And
fail to realize. Sorry, but people fail to realize that a lot of the printing of money actually happens from banks. When you take out a mortgage or a car loan, the bank doesn't have that money. They're literally saying, "Okay, we're willing to take this risk. Here's $500,000. Here's $250,000. Go buy your house. Give us your down payment." And that 10 or 20 or whatever thousand in down payment, if you have a small house, obviously, is what we're going to use to basically back your loan, and the rest of the $250,000 we're just pulling out of thin air, and they're actually literally printing money in the form of a loan that they're giving to you that doesn't exist, that isn't backed by anything, and That's why I like to use this a lot, and it's actually toilet paper of the U.S. dollar, because that's literally what the fuck the U.S. dollar is.
Oh yeah.
It's toilet paper. As a matter of fact, this toilet paper has more value than a dollar when you think about it, because it's tangible. I can use it to actually wipe with if I need to, and that dollar that was printed out of thin air has no value unless unless I default on the debt, and then all of a sudden it has a value to the bank in the form of unrealized losses.
Which
But at
I
least
mean,
with a mortgage, there's a tangible asset there, but they're playing games with crypto and tokens, which there's absolutely nothing tangible at all.
Well, the thing about the mortgage is that home values are ridiculously overpriced right now. They're ridiculously overinflated, and that's directly related to the $7 trillion worth of mortgage-backed securities held by the Federal Reserve in the United States alone. That's not talking about all the other central banks, Canada, Europe, Asia, South America, et cetera, Africa, and their central banks that are also holding up mortgage-backed securities. So what now it appears to be a house that's worth $500,000. In actuality, if the Federal Reserve were to stop holding their $7 trillion in artificial overinflation there through mortgage-backed securities, it would be worth a fraction of that amount of money. So the tangible asset exists, but the value is minuscule compared to what they're saying that it's actually worth.
well, and that's where, I never kind of put the two together, but that's why they require you to have that 10% down payment. Is think about this for a second. Fractional reserve banking is how our banks operate. And what that
Mhm.
means is, if let's just say it's the Bank of Marcel. Okay, Bank of Marcel. I go into Bank of Marcel. I'm the first customer of Bank of Marcel, and I deposit $1,000. So now Bank of Marcel has $1,000, right? They can take that $1,000 and they can do 10,000 in loans with that $1,000 of my deposit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how this all works out. Basically they've only got 10% of what they're supposed to. And that's why I wonder if that's a direct correlation to the reason why you need that 10% down payment. It's because you're covering your fractional reserve that they need, because they don't need to have 100%. Everything else is just paper, and it's zeros and ones in a computer, and they actually only need to have 10% down. And realistically, your 10% that you give the bank down payment is just more zeros and ones and more paper anyway. So
Yeah, and they're taking that and investing it into whatever they can with massive leverage, using ISDA contracts and swaps and so on. It's a massive shell game for sure.
it's crazy. Um, it is absolutely mental, and I don't understand how nobody. Well, not nobody. I mean, a lot of people do, but the majority of people don't see 2008 happening all over again. But this time, like, times a lot more. It's way. I mean, it's gonna make.
Well, the first thing is nobody's gone to jail and nobody's doing anything about it. I mean, it doesn't matter if they're Republican or Democrat. They keep voting. They put these people in that are all architects of what happened in 2008, and I don't see anything happening to reverse it or to go back to Glass-Steagall. I mean, it's been Dodd-Frank or whatever new monetary modern BS that's allowing them to fool around with now even cryptos. So of course we're going to have a bigger crash.
Well,
And the other thing, while I mentioned it, why are we in this in the first place, right? We're the weapon against that,
well, yeah,
this ape army. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we are fighting a corruption that I don't think any of us had any idea when we first started this. I mean, I didn't. I certainly didn't. Anybody? I think the majority, 99% of people, if they were to say, "Yeah, when I bought AMC during the GME run up, or whenever it was you bought it," and you're like, "Oh yeah, I mean, I bought it because I'm fighting market corruption." Duh. No, bullshit. we all bought it because we were like, hey, it's a scratch ticket that we know is going to be a winner and we're going to win a shitload of money, which is, it's just a really lot more time involved in this scratch ticket. It's very not scratch ticket at this point, obviously, but we are going to win. I know that we are absolutely going to win. And I mean, all the arguments for a short thesis are just slowly being destroyed one by one, regardless of what you think or feel about AA. He's made the right fucking moves. Do I agree with him 100%? No, and you shouldn't agree with anyone 100%. But the moves he's made as a businessman have placed AMC in a position where the debt has been moved out. We've killed a shit ton of debt since 2020. We were at 6 billion something. We're what, 4 now, right?
4 billion. Yeah, they've paid off over 2 billion in 2 billion in debt basically in the last 3 years that they've chopped down already. That's massive.
It's 1/3 of the debt. It's literally like 1/3 of the debt he's knocked out. Meanwhile, keeping the company going. Meanwhile, expanding, growing the popcorn business, doing the credit cards, doing, you know, all these other ways of generating income. And if you haven't tried the AMC popcorn, you have to get some. It's fucking great. And I got to tell you right now, I've tried a bunch of different microwave popcorns. This one, literally, it says, put it in your microwave for 2 minutes. I put it in my microwave for 2 minutes, and there's like 4 kernels left at the bottom. Like they all fucking popped. Like it's unreal. Like I don't even believe it happens. Like I'm like, where the fuck's the seeds? Because usually, you know, you break a molar on the seeds, you know, when you're at the end. But there's no fucking seeds. They're all fucking popped. It's great. And the extra butter comes in a little pack. You know, like the little soy sauce packets you get at the Chinese food restaurants. The extra butter one comes with a little pack like that of butter flavoring deliciousness that you can pour over after you're done popping. You've got to go get some. That was kind of tangent. Well, I'm a tangent guy. That's what I do. But yeah, I mean, I don't even remember where the hell we were. Banks.
That's all right.
Banks, pretty much. Yeah, right.
It's a good combo.
Speaking of which, can we review? Let's look back and see how many banks and shorties we've knocked down with
Sure.
GameStop.
I can't count that high.
Yeah, that's a shit ton.
Really?
Yeah, we only got like an hour here,
was like
Jeff. Holy
4.
shit. What are you trying to do?
4, closer to 400, brother. I can name 4 off the top of my head. Melvin Capital, Tiger Capital, Archegos, Credit Suisse. There's 4. I can name 400 more if you give me enough time.
Well, and what about what's his face? What's his name is getting nailed right now. And he was mouthing off on Twitter all the time. What's his name? It's left my brain. It'll come back later.
For what? What was he doing on Twitter?
He's like a hedge fund.
Mark Cahotes?
What's that?
Either Mark Cahotes or Andrew Left of Citron Research, and then now Hindenburg. Citron Research is Andrew Left, facing 370 years in federal prison for market manipulation of stocks like GameStop and Tesla and AMC.
Good. Tell me how your AMC to a penny is going now, motherfucker. Like, suck it. Wicked ad. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to me that one of these days, one of these weak bitches is going to roll over. And he's going to spill every fucking bean he's ever seen. Like, he's like, hey, shit, I don't even know about these beans, but I'm going to spill these beans too. He's just going to spill beans from everywhere. And it's going to be a fucking bloodbath. It's going to be mental. It's going to be absolutely crazy. And it's going to happen one of these days. I thought for sure it was going to be SBF because he just had that weak ass bitch look to me. Like, oh man, he's going to fold. He's going to fold like
a cheap lawn chair.
and maybe that's still the case, but it ain't happened yet. So I don't know. They probably got him in a cushy Fed resort. Is he Fed or is he state? He's got to be Fed.
I'm not sure where they're holding him. I forgot.
Check on that. I think he's
I'm
probably.
surprised he hasn't suicided himself yet.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think he knows anything about Hillary, so he's probably all right. You
That's a
have to
good
know
point.
stuff about Hillary to get, to kill yourself.
Oh,
Yeah, that's how that works.
yeah, don't go swimming in a shallow pond.
I'm not going to hang myself from a doorknob with a necktie anytime soon. So, but I do know a lot of stuff about Hillary.
Let's not go there. She might get
Anyways.
angry. She might get angry with us. Let's not talk about Hillary.
Yeah, no Hillary talk.
There's a potential threat looming. Marcel was exposing, and that's the unrealized gain. And what's the chance that this ever happens here? Because I don't think the world would allow that, and somebody would be in a grassy knoll if that happened.
I don't know how you fucking enforce something like that. Because think about it like this. Okay, first off, their excuse is, oh, well, we're only going to do it for the 100 millionaires. Yeah, okay, that's how fucking everything started. That's how income tax started too. Oh, we're just going to do it for the rich people. Oh, we're just going to do it for the next to rich people. Oh, we're just going to do it to the middle class people. Oh, fucking everybody's getting it. Oh, now everybody's getting it twice as much.
Mm-hmm.
Now you get nailed 3 times. So that's how this all fucking goes. So the second you give them an inch, they're going to take 42 miles, period. That's always how it's been. It's always how it's going to be.
People
So,
forget that
number
only
one-
took 2 years. Also, it took 2 years for them to go
Exactly.
from income tax only for the rich to income tax for all. So, and at the current rate, it was income tax for people, if you adjust for inflation, that made over like 98,000 a year. That was the rate when they originally implemented it. And then again, 2 years later, they changed it so that everybody, including the poorest Americans, would have to pay income tax.
It's a slippery slope, and that's exactly what
Mhm.
will happen. I don't buy for a minute. It's only going to be for the rich, and it's only ever going to be for the rich. It's just not going to be that way.
You know what? They call it the slippery slope fallacy, but if you ask me, that's just that's very much like the CIA calling people conspiracy theorists. They trying to attach basically a misnomer. They're trying to attach this idea that it's not true or that it's impossible by calling it the slippery slope fallacy, when it is actually the slippery slope reality that we've seen happen time and time again. And we just watched it happen with the Biden-Harris administration what was it, about a year and a half or 2 ago, when they hired 87,000 new IRS agents.
Who the fuck do you think that's for?
And who did they claim they were going to go after, Aaron? Jeff?
Yeah.
The rich folks. And new studies have shown that out of those 87,000 new IRS agents, over 66% of them have been targeting the middle class, people that make under $150,000 a year. So from the poorest individuals up to a maximum of $150K, or over 2/3 of the 87,000 new agents have been auditing the average American, like you and I and everybody else listening to this right now, or even some of the poorest people, for fraud or misreporting, $600 worth of, Venmo payments or PayPal payments, or whatever, oh, you're an Uber driver and you didn't pay taxes on your tips, or you're a server or a bartender or a busboy or a waitress and you didn't pay your tips. When they're coming after you because they have it on the back end in their books. They receive the information from the restaurant or from Uber that said how much you got paid and about how much you got in tips. Well, guess what? Now all of a sudden the IRS is going to be auditing your ass, for an extra few $1,000. And that's the same slippery slope fallacy that we're going to be looking at here with this 25% unrealized capital gains tax for rich people. Now, keep in mind, I didn't say capital gains. I said 25% unrealized capital gains tax. So, Aaron, what does that mean if your house goes up in value? What happens if your house, or say you have a rental home and your rental home goes up in value? What happens there?
Well, just for an example, unrealized gains. You buy your house for $100,000, and it's worth $100,000, and then let's say in December there's a housing market boom, and the house value goes up to $200,000 or whatever. You would pay the taxes for that $100,000 difference in the value of your home
Up front,
but
immediately.
you don't have to sell it.
Yep. Yep. Just
don't even
because
have
the
to sell it.
market says that your house is now worth 200K and you bought it for 100K, you have to come up with $25,000 for that $100,000 appreciation to pay it. Where are you going to come up with the money with if you're barely getting by, or if you're, if you don't have an extra 25,000 a year? Where's that money going to come from, man?
Right. And well, I mean, I'm sure.
You're going to be forced to sell it, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Let's say you are forced to sell it, and you're only able to get 100,000 for it. Do you think they're going to pay you the refund of the 25,000? Fuck no, they ain't. They ain't paying you shit. They're
right.
keeping that unrealized gain. So in the stock world, think of it like this: if you bought $100,000 worth of AMC shares, and the shares went up to value of 200,000 just before the end of the year, because it's the only way I can imagine that they would calculate this. What is it worth at December 31st? So let's say on December 31st, your stock is worth 200,000. Then you would pay 25% of that $100,000 difference on your taxes. But then let's say on January 1st, the stock drops and is only worth fucking 50,000. I could see so much dirty manipulation that December 31st, all the fucking whole stock market would go ballistic, crazy up, so they could charge you more taxes.
Yep.
And then on January 1st, it'd be a big crash every fucking year, so they could collect more taxes from you. I think it's horseshit. I don't know how you enforce something like that, because it's such a ludicrous fucking idea. It just is. I don't understand how you look at that and say, oh, this makes sense. This is rational. This is a good idea. Oh, only for the rich? Oh, well, yeah, fuck them. They're pieces of shit anyway. Great.
Yeah.
No, this ain't no good. This is no good for anybody. We don't let them get away with nothing anymore. I don't give a fuck who it's against. We don't let this government fucking do nothing without our fucking say so anymore. Period. That's how we got into this fucking mess in the first place. Is we let it, oh, take a little bit here. I'll take a little bit. Oh, what? Oh, okay, yeah. Dude can go in the woman's locker room. All right, cool, whatever. No, that's fucking wrong. That shit ain't happening on our watch anymore. Period. And we need to call it out, because guess what? The fucking media ain't gonna do it. It's up to us.
Sorry, you're right. I got AW right now in the chat saying I bought my house for 170,000 a couple years ago, and it's now worth 300,000. I'd be screwed. It's like how I would have no way to pay it, and I totally understand. The majority of people wouldn't, and it always begins with the rich. It always begins just taxing the rich people, going after them, and it always ends up being the average everyday American. Now it's like, for Christ's sake, even people are paying taxes on their fucking Social Security income. They shouldn't
have to pay. They've already paid taxes on that.
Exactly right.
They already paid taxes on that money. They shouldn't have to pay it twice. It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. And I mean, look at the Marxist playbook. I mean, this is what it. Whether you believe it or not, they're trying to make us fucking communists. Period. That is what they are doing. Everything that they are doing is trying to make us communists. Erase the history. Okay, all the statues and shit like that have been torn down. Anytime you talk about, like, I don't know if you remember this, Marcel, but like 3 years ago or so, there was a high school in California, and it was called Lincoln Memorial High School or something like that. And BLM got in a fucking major mess about it, because they said Lincoln didn't care enough about black people, so they had to change the name of the high school.
Oh, is that right?
Holy what the fuck? Huh? Lincoln didn't get, okay, sure he didn't. So that's like part one of the Marxist fucking playbook. The other part is create division. There needs to be division. Look around us right now. There's this created, manufactured, false race division, and the straight people and the cis people. Don't let people call you fucking cis. I'm a dude that likes chicks. All right, cis. The
right.
fuck is that?
I'm straight, for fuck's sake.
Don't buy into those games, because that is all about the division.
Fuck your pronouns.
Yeah, exactly. Your pronouns are bullshit. Like, just because you're delusional doesn't mean I have to play your delusion with you. Like, you can have it. That's fine. That's your game. Go for it. But I don't have to play. Like, I don't want to play, and I'm not going to. I don't give a fuck. Oh, they're going to put me in jail because I didn't call you a Zimzer. What? Are you fucking serious, right?
A Zimzer. Yeah. The fuck is that? Yeah.
But you keep.
I
That's
agree.
one of them.
I know, it's so stupid. I still don't know what it means. I just know it's one of them. Well, whatever the fuck that's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Come on.
Zimzer. Holy shit. And then they call the cat self. And, oh, well, cat self wants to meow meow. Do you have a litter box in the school? Are you fucking, like, it's deranged. It's mental fucking retardation. I'm sorry. People pretending to be cats and we have to pretend they're cats too? No. No. Stop. So the bad citizens don't buy that shit. Like, you can't, you gotta not buy into that shit. So
Oh, it's great.
that's where we gotta just stand up and not just stop buying into that shit, because it's all communist bullshit. That's just another angle of it is that. And then it's the give me's. And they opened the border up and they flooded us with like fucking 18 million illegals. And Pelosi, I don't know if you saw this yet, Marcel, but Pelosi literally like yesterday was on a newscast somewhere on one of the bullshit fucking MSMs and said she wants to turn all the undocumented illegals into documented illegals. Oh, but they aren't importing voters. But she wants to turn all 8 million of the illegals into legals. What the fuck are they going to do after they become legal? They're going to vote.
New studies have shown that number is actually 20 million or more at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Not 8 million as reported. All of the gotaways and the people that they had never run into, that they haven't, even known about, the number is well over 20 million illegal immigrants under the Biden administration alone, which is astronomical number of people that exceeds more than the bottom 8 states of the United States total population. So we basically have the 8 states worth of illegal immigrants just flooding into the country. That's a big problem. And yeah, they're trying to buy their votes. And like you said, Nancy Pelosi literally just said, I think it was like yesterday or the day before, I saw that shit fucking, it blew my mind, the fact that they're saying the quiet part out loud now.
Oh yeah, fuck, they don't care, because they know the MSM's going to spin it for them, and it's all like it's all in the name of it's always about making you feel good about it. That's what it's all about. Like, it's not about using logic to say, hey, wait a minute, maybe this isn't a fucking good idea. Maybe hold up, maybe we shouldn't bring in 20 million unvetted fucking assassins across our fucking bottom border when they're bringing all the drugs and everything else in through. That's just another way, communist. That's just another communist way to turn our country communist. The tax on farmers. I don't know if you've seen these either, Marcel, but it's on X all the time. But like the farmers who like sell milk, unpasteurized milk and meat or whatever, and the feds literally come in and fucking just raid them and take all their shit. And and the attacks on farmers, that's another way that they do this. And Kamala, I like to call her Kamala Obama. That's my
Yeah.
Kamala Obama literally talked about price controls. That's communist. That is literally communist, because what happens is, okay, milk is too expensive. It's $5 a gallon or whatever. Let's say that's what it is, and that's too expensive. Then she comes in and says, okay, the government says you cannot have $5 milk. It has to be $2.50 so everybody can afford it. That sounds great, right? On the surface, if you don't think about it for more than a nano fucking second, it sounds great. You're like, oh shit, cheap milk, great. This is fucking awesome. Yeah, but guess what? The farmers who make the milk can't make any fucking money. They go broke and they say, well, I'm not fucking doing milk anymore. I'm going to do something else that they aren't attacking. And guess what? Now you don't have milk. You don't have milk anymore.
Well, you'll have roach milk.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
people, the
these
grocery
bugs are
stores
cat-
will absolutely stop stocking milk, or they'll start stocking a minuscule amount, and so they'll only put a tiny bit up on the shelves. The price will be 250. They'll sell out of their 50 gallons of milk in the first 30 minutes of the day, and everybody else will have to go out and go to local farmers for it. The demand will be so high, and
black
there will
market.
be so overwhelmed with demand that they will then start charging $5 a gallon, $10 a gallon, $20 a gallon, because they can, because they're overworked, because there's too much demand, and people will start receiving it on the black market, and that's exactly what happened in Venezuela, Argentina, communist China, communist Cuba, the Soviet Union, all of these things, and a lot of keep in mind, I've never voted for Trump before. Okay. In 2016, I thought that, Trump becoming president was the worst thing that could happen in this country. I was fucking wrong. And I'm able to look back in hindsight and realize that. But when people hear about it, oh yeah, price controls, that sounds great. Grocery stores have an average of 3% profit margins. If you went on Shark Tank with 3% profit margins, what the fuck would, the Shark Tank, the sharks on the tank do to you? They tell you to get the fuck out of here, right? Like, that's garbage. That's a shit company. And that being said, $2 and say price controls for $2.50 would lead to a very low amount of milk in the grocery stores, and it would be everything, right? Eggs, meat, cheese, you name it. There would be very little amounts of it because the price controls are so tight that there's no profit margin. So they would stop stocking that, and they would start stocking things that don't have price controls: toilet paper, household goods, things like that.
That's a
You'd
good
see that
example.
taking over the shelves.
Toilet paper. Does everybody remember what it was like during COVID with toilet paper?
Who can forget?
Now think
Yep.
about that, but for all your essential grocery items. Think about the same scenario.
Fighting over it, literally, because you can't find
People
it, and you're
fighting
going from
over it,
store to store.
hoarding, like there's people selling. I remember seeing rolls of fucking toilet paper on like eBay and shit, and people were charging stupid amount, like they were gouging. It was fucking mental. Um, that's the kind of thing that happens. That's just another communist fucking thing. Price controls are no good. They're no good. They sound good on the surface, and for people who, like I said, don't think about it for more than a nanosecond, they're like, oh shit'll be cheaper. That's great, right? No, it's not. It never is. It's never worked. It's never worked, and it's never going to work. The other ways they're trying to turn this country communist, they're destroying the nuclear family. They do that with pushing trans ideology on children. Why the fuck does a kid need to know who their teacher fucks?
Thank
I
you.
mean,
Thank you very much.
I mean,
That
kids
the
do
kid does
not
not
need to
fucking
know
care.
who
Yeah.
the teacher is fucking. I'm
Right.
sorry. Nobody should care about that at all. Like, that should not be a conversation that's happening in school. Period.
Unless it's the student she's fucking.
That's probably happening too. But
You're a legend.
that is destroying the nuclear family. They're trying to get kids to go trans and having the drag shows for the kids and that kind of stupid shit. They're trying to confuse the kids. Now think about this for a second. It's all about depopulation. It's all about lowering the population. And that's another part of the communist thing, is they want lower population. And that is Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum have said they want 500 million people on this planet. There's 7 billion people on this planet now. That means he wants to get rid of 6.5 billion people off of this planet. How do you do that? You do everything that they're doing to us right now. Literally. When you turn someone trans, or you give them the hormone blockers, or you do all that kind of shit to them when they're a kid, guess what? They ain't reproducing anymore. When you push look, I have a lot of friends who are super duper gay, and some that are just kind of gay, and some that are, whatever. I love people. I do. I love people. And there's going to be gay people. But when you're pushing that shit on kids and that kind of stuff, you're going to create more gay people than there should be. So you're
It's
going
the
to create a lot more.
indoctrination and brainwashing
Right.
of
It's
children.
indoctrinating. It's brainwashing. Look, and let a kid be a kid. When they're 18, let them decide. Let them figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, but stop pushing who to have sex with on kids. Period. Get that shit the fuck out of there.
Mhm.
But that's another depopulation technique. And, you know, the vaccine, the mRNA, there's been a lot of pregnancies that got ended early because of the vaccine. There was, you know, oh, you can't prove it. Yeah, okay. That's why the numbers went up like crazy. There's a lot of people that are sterile now because of it, and who knows?
Sadly.
Who knows what kind of long-term effects that has? Um, so that's just another way. Then inflation. Think about inflation for a second now. Inflation does what? I know that my grandfather, his family growing up, my great grandfather worked at the mill. He worked at a woolen mill. My great grandmother stayed home. They had 17 kids. They were able to feed all their kids. They were able to keep the house going. They had 2 cars. They were able to go on vacation on one income, 17 kids, one income.
Yep.
That's what they stole from us. They make it impossible to have a large family. You know how Elon always talks about, you know, the have kids. The birth rate's down. The birth rate is down. Like, that's bad.
Mhm.
It is. It's very, very bad. And everything that they're doing goes towards in that direction. That's why they do it. They want less people, and they want us divided. And it's all communist fucking horseshit. It is. It's absolute communist horseshit.
It actually started with the deballing of society. You know, first there was the incompetent dad, the Homer Simpson, and then toxic masculinity. You know, which is now, you know, you can't identify male and female anymore, and that's just to the denigration and demoralization of society, which takes about 3 or 4 generations until things become normalized and the communists take over. And those are key words, actually. If you listen to the interview, that Russian guy talks about it. But first starts with demoralization, and then once people forget their history after 3 generations, then they come in and they start a conflict, and then things become quote unquote normalized.
Yep.
So I'm waiting for that conflict moment. Maybe they're going to blame us when we squeeze.
We don't want a normalized. I feel like if they're trying to turn us communist, we don't want that. Like, the simple fact of the matter is we're in the weak men create hard times phase.
Yeah.
Which, if you've never, I know Jeff and Marcel, both of you have heard it, but maybe some people haven't heard this. But strong men create good times create weak men create hard times, and hard times create strong men. And I think that we are just at the very end, it feels like, of the weak men create hard times. And hopefully we are in the hard times create strong men, because holy fuck, we need it. Like, those beta fucking cucks that you see running around, and I don't ever give details out about this in my channel or anything, but I rent 3 cabins, and I see all kinds come through. And I gotta tell you, weak beta males like make me want to vomit.
I get it, man. I
It's
get
like,
it. And there's too many of them nowadays.
such a fucking tool. Holy shit. How do you live with yourself? And then I look at her and I'm like, the fuck is wrong with you? You're holy shit. You're going for this, huh? Okay.
Women like some women like subservient men. Hey, that's beta cucks for you. You know what I mean? I don't know. Some people have that
I don't think
fetish.
they're
I
ever
guess.
happy.
Yeah.
I don't think the women are ever happy in that relationship.
No. Well, that's the thing. Like, me and my wife, we're fucking super happy. Like, it's great. Like, I'm a man. I do man things. And she's a woman and she does woman things. That doesn't mean we can't do other things. You know, it doesn't mean like she's the only one who does the dishes and cooking, and I'm the only one that goes out and cuts lumber and feeds the cows or whatever. Fucking, like, I don't have any cows. But like we help each other out, but like I'm a man, I do man stuff. She does woman stuff. That's not fucking weird, or like saying that shouldn't like make me feel guilty. And that's what they do. That's the game they play. They say, "Oh, well, you shouldn't say that because that means that, you know, women can't do it." No, that's not what I fucking said. I said I do man things. That doesn't mean women can't do them.
Right.
It means that I do man things because
Right.
I'm a man. That's what I do. And we need to stop playing that game too, where we, oh yeah, sorry, oh my God, sorry about that. What I really mean to say is that everyone is equal. There's so much equity everywhere with the equalness and the equalitude of the. I didn't mean to say man things. I meant to say things persons could do when they're equal, because only equality of equalness can do the things that the persons can do when they're equal. And you sound like a fucking moron. That's like, I'm gonna go out and chop some wood. That's a man thing. I'm gonna go use some power tools. It's a man thing. Does that mean women never use a power tool? No, it fucking doesn't. But it's a man thing. Sorry.
Yeah, let's put it this way. My wife could go out and, you know, cut down that tree or fucking trim those hedges out front if she wanted to, but she doesn't fucking want to. She would much rather let me do it or hire a landscaper to do it. And I have no problem going out there to do it. I would much rather do that and let her handle something, you know, in the house if she wants to. Does that make it wrong? No. But too many times people want to see it as, you know, masculinity versus, you know, feminism, or, you know, the bringing down a woman's ability to do things, when in reality it's just people have a preference of doing different things. And I would much rather, you know, go outside and handle the yard work than have my wife do it while I'm inside cooking. You know, that's just it, you know, and that's not the only thing she can do. She's very talented. But I would much rather take care of the more physically demanding things, right? That's what the male body was built for from the beginning of time, is hunting and gathering. And the woman is meant to have, you know, stronger emotions and being a better caretaker. That doesn't mean men can't be good fathers, and it doesn't mean women can't be hard workers. That just means that we are geared naturally through evolution. And even if you don't believe in that, from God, one way or another, whether it be from evolution or God or both, depending on your views, to be able to do certain tasks slightly better than the others. And exactly, you know, David Love here says we both have our roles in the home, and I think you're absolutely right. Not to change the subject, but I want to bring this up because I see some people here talking about it, and I respect everyone's opinion. You know, the DJ is saying that tariffs means that the consumer will pay more for a product. And Maynard says that tariffs are a tool to bring investments back to the country. Shipping things would be things would be onshored. Companies would be brought onshore to save costs and bring jobs to America. What do you guys think about that?
I love anything that says "Made in the USA." Here's an example. It's such a small example, and I'm going to say it's going to sound silly, but I had a can opener, manual can opener, not electric one, not one of the new fancy ones that sits on top and makes it so the fucking lid isn't sharp.
A tool.
It's a regular fucking can opener. And it got busted up, and I'd had it for fucking ever. And I went to the store, and I didn't think about it. And I was like, I'll take this one. And I just bought a can opener, right? I brought it home. It's a piece of shit. Worked like, oh my God, it was so bad. It fucking mangled the edge of the can, or like it wouldn't, like it only cut some, and then it would leave a little dip, and then it would cut some and then leave another one. So it didn't even leave like one little hanger on, so you could at least flip the lid open. Like it was multiple spots it didn't cut.
The quality of the tool sucked.
Yeah, bad tool. So I went in and I said, fuck this, I'm buying another one. So I go back, and this time I took my time. And I looked, and I said, because I couldn't believe how many different can openers. I didn't know there was a huge market for can openers, that we needed a selection.
Yeah, there's a big fucking selection.
And I was like, holy shit, this is a tight market. 20 can openers. All right. So I started looking and I see one that said made in the USA. I said, all right, let me look at this. I picked it up. The fucker was heavy, like heavy, really, really heavy. And like, oh, all right, this is really done nice. I brought it home. That bitch opens cans.
You open so many fucking cans.
Story, but this fucker opens cans like no sweat. Bam! Wow, 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 wow! Cuts through the whole bitch in top. Doesn't leave a shred behind. No man left behind. Amazing. It cost me a few extra bucks, but it was worth every penny because I didn't have to fuck with cans. I didn't have to like grab a fork and peel open the lid and do all that kind of horseshit. I mean, this is kind of a silly example,
but you get what you pay for. It's not silly.
Speaking, when we build something here in America, we build it fucking great. We build good shit. We really, really do. Our cars used to be the top of the fucking heap. In everything, in every category. Everything that we build here when we build shit, well, think about this now. All the fucking battleships and destroyers and shit like that that's in our military, we build all that, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
We have the best ones in the world, don't we? We build, when we put our minds to it, we build good shit. And why aren't we building good shit right now? Because shit from overseas is cheap. And people buy cheap shit. When you put tariffs on it, yes, it makes the shit from overseas a little bit more expensive. But guess what? It brings innovation back to our country. We start building can openers again, and we can take over make can openers great again.
But that's a great, perfect example. It's one of those many things, you know, that actually you get what you pay for. And it brings me to the demise of craftsmen. A lot of you guys out there, and even women, of course, listening right now, have used Craftsman tools. And I remember I used to buy them, you know, I used to buy them, you know, 20 years ago. I would get Craftsman tools from Sears, and it was great because I could use them on my car, and every now and then you'd crank on something so hard that you'd break a socket, for example, and you'd take it back and you'd get a replacement. And even still, you'd go home and you could use it, and it would be great. It would work, you know, for quite a long time. And if you broke it, you could replace it. But over time, it got to the point where Craftsman decided that they needed to make more money. And they offshored the manufacturing of all of their tools. So now those same tools that I was getting at Sears, made out of American steel and alloys, are now being made in China. They're being made with lower quality steel, lower quality alloys, and being shipped over here for a fraction of the cost, taking jobs away from Americans because those are no longer being produced here. They're being produced over there, giving jobs to other countries. The tool gets here and the price of the tool didn't go down. The price of the tool stayed the same or actually went up, just for craftsmen to be able to make more money. And if there would have been some sort of implementation of tariffs against China to import some things, it would have been more advantageous for craftsmen to continue making the quality tool here in the United States, giving Americans jobs. And the price of the tool would have stayed the same. So I would have had a better quality product. And then now I got this cheap Chinese shit. I go to Sears and I'd be trading it in every month or every few weeks just because I'm down there trying to change a tire or trying to, you know, replace my brake pads or whatever oil. Can't even unscrew the damn the drain plug from the oil without, you know, practically shearing off the insides of the socket. And so I'd be returning it. It got to the point where Craftsman and also Sears were no longer available. You couldn't even go to Sears anymore because they went through the stock market, obviously, but they went through debt spiral financing and were naked shorted into the ground in the same exact way that happened to Blockbuster and Toys R Us and many other companies out there, even as recently as, BY and BBIG went through the same things. And I could no longer take that Craftsman tool that would break originally once every year or two. Now it's breaking every month. I have to replace it at the Sears. I could no longer do that. So that became the death of Craftsman when you could no longer replace it at the Sears. So the death of Craftsman came along from the death of Sears and the fact that you could no longer replace their shitty Chinese tools in the store anymore. And you'd have to reach out and hope that they would be able to mail you one and still pay for that as well. So the manufacturing was no longer there. The quality of the product was no longer there. The American jobs were no longer there. The cost savings were no longer there. And a tariff against Chinese products would have kept all of that from happening from the very beginning. Hope that tangent wasn't too long for you guys.
At the end of the day, personally, I don't notice anything during the Trump administration that was much more expensive as compared to now when you're spending a bunch of money in groceries. I mean, the people push this narrative that everything's going to be so expensive when the tariffs came. I don't remember seeing it. Do you guys?
It doesn't exist. That's why.
You know what?
I mean,
I have a window open right now. If you don't mind sharing this on your screen, I'm screen sharing it with you right now.
yeah.
This is a chart. Well, basically, it's a spreadsheet showing inflation by administration. And we see here that under Donald Trump, the cost of gasoline, was down almost 7% from the prior administration. The cost of public transportation was down almost 14.6%. The cost of airline fares were down over 23% under Trump compared to the prior administration. Hotels were down 15%. Groceries were up 5.9% on average. But even still, foods at K through 12 schools, kindergarten to 12th grade, was down 9.3%. Even non-prescription drugs were down slightly. And looking under Biden-Harris right now, gasoline's up over 50%. Public transportation's up over 16%, down, from a negative 14% where Trump had it. So it's actually up over 30%, from negative 14 to an increase of 16. Airline fares are up 22.6%. Groceries are up 21.6%. And that's if you use the current calculations for CPI by the Biden-Harris administration, because they have changed the definition.
Give us real legitimate numbers. They don't lie to us at all.
No, of course not. Of course not. But when you go to the fucking store and you buy some bacon or some butter or some eggs, is that a 21.6% gain over the last 4 years, or is it closer to 100? Be honest with yourself.
It's way more. I bought a box of graham crackers the other day.
Graham
We
crackers?
were thinking we were going to do, graham crackers. We were thinking we were going to do s'mores. And I went and I bought a box of fucking $8.99 for a box of fucking graham crackers? Are you kidding me?
Would you go to Costco and get a pallet? Come on.
Yeah, what the fuck? Like, is gold-plated, fucking diamond-encrusted fucking golden grams? Holy shit. I couldn't even believe it. I was like, are you serious? $9 for a box of fucking Nabisco?
What store did you get them from, if you don't mind me asking?
It's a grocery store.
Yeah, I see. So you weren't at a convenience store. You weren't at like a pharmaceutical store.
If
Yeah.
it was at a convenience store, because we're like a vacation spot here,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of campgrounds and stuff. So if it was a convenience store, I guarantee they're probably $12, 12, 13
Gotcha.
bucks.
Gotcha. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
But our grocery store is like a regular kind of grocery store. It's you know what I mean? They're not like they don't jack the prices because it's like a vacation destination or whatever, because all the locals shop there. But yeah, I was like, fucking $9 for a box of graham. Holy shit. I can't even believe it. You know what blows my mind? I have a pile of the Biden "I did that" stickers that you put on the gas.
Oh
pumps.
yeah, with the Joe Biden pointing and saying, "I did that."
He's pointing.
Yeah,
He's like, I did that. And I always, every single motherfucking time, I put one on. And every time I go back, that fucking sticker is gone. And it blows my mind. Because how the fuck do people like look at that and be like, oh, you know what's funny is when Trump was in office and the gas prices were below $2, everybody's like, "Oh, Trump's doing a great job. Look at the gas prices." They're like, "Oh, well, the president has no control over the price of gas. He has no control over that." But then Biden knocks it down like 2 cents from
Yeah.
$4 to $3.98, and they're like, "Oh, look at Biden! Wow, he did that from the beach in Delaware. It's fucking crazy." um, yeah, I just don't understand how people can see the price of gas and what it was, um, not long ago, and just be like, "Oh yeah, no, that's totally normal." And at this point in time, I love how they always blame Trump. "Oh, the gas prices are like this now because of Trump 4 years ago." What? You've had 4 years. You telling me you can't get shit fucking straight in 4 years? Holy shit! What have you been doing? And people buy it. Obviously, some people buy it, and that's it's so sad. Um, but I've got a picture. I'm gonna try to find it of gas in March of 2020. Where did I? Hold on, I'm gonna find it now. I'm gonna look for it now. But yeah, I mean it's crazy how people just stay completely blind to facts, even when they're right in front of their face.
There are ways. A lot of
Guys
people are
watch
extremely
GME
emotional. You
with
know,
Trump.
it saddens me to think that people are willing to basically destroy the American dream and destroy the future of our children and worsen our financial situations of everybody in the country simply because they would rather have anybody but Trump. And
Oh, TPS.
that really is sad, you know. And like I told you guys before, I didn't vote for Trump in 2016. As a matter of fact, I voted for Bernie Sanders, even though in 2016 the Hillary administration and Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the DNC stole the primary from Bernie Sanders for Hillary. I voted for him in the primary. I even voted for him in the presidential election, knowing that Bernie Sanders didn't have a choice, but I was never Trump, right? I was like, I'll never vote for Trump. But guess what? I have the ability to think and use analysis and look at history and see what's actually happening with the facts in the world. And from 2016 to 2020, I started realizing, yeah, Orange Man puts out mean tweets, but he's not doing the things that the mainstream media and the DNC claimed he was going to do. He didn't make abortions illegal. He didn't destroy the American middle class. He didn't cause World War III. As a matter of fact, he ended wars. Maybe I'm wrong about this guy. Let me do some more homework. And I started digging deep and really looking at everything that I wasn't seeing on Fox News and CNN and MSNBC. And I came to the realization that the majority of the things that we were being told were not true. And then in 2020, I didn't vote for him either. I didn't vote for Biden either. I used to live in Illinois, and I'm like, I could vote for Trump, but he's not going to win anyway because there's too many fucking blue people living in Chicago. You know, and according to the numbers, if we want to believe that they're true, which they probably are in Illinois, sadly, you know, Biden took Illinois by like 1 million votes, and that was no surprise. Then I was able to look over the last 4 years and seeing that Biden and Harris have absolutely destroyed the economy.
Yep.
Donald Trump printed money in 2020 in response to the COVID scamdemic, in response to the fact that American peoples needed jobs. And they implemented the PPP loans, the Payment Protection Program loans for businesses in order to help American businesses keep Americans on the payroll. It's not the administration's fault that some people went out and committed fraud and put up fake information with fake corporations to defraud the federal government. Those people have been and continue to be, sued and put in jail by the Department of Justice. However, up until that point, I came to the conclusion that Donald Trump was actually cutting more spending than they were doing. And I didn't never imagine in my life that would be the case. But I realized that that's exactly what's fucking happening. I'm looking at the numbers. The charts and the numbers at the time were clear. And for all the spending that was happening, 5 times as much or 10 times as much was being cut. And some people are like, oh, well, he's cutting this, he's cutting that. Well, a lot of it is bloated government overspending anyway. And when you really take the time to delve deeply into that and see what was being cut and what money was being spent, it became clear that what the DNC and the Democratic Party was saying, and, you know, the deep state and companies like CNN and MSNBC were saying were being cut, were rightfully being cut. And the things that were being spent were probably mostly on point. Of course, nothing is perfect in government, no matter who's the president, right? And then over the last 4 years, I've realized that the deep state, the Democratic Party are one and the same. The World Economic Forum, you know, and some people still think that we're crazy for saying this, but the fact remains that they don't have our best interest in mind. They only want to create more inflation in order to allow the federal government to more easily make their debt payments. And that's what the devaluation of the US dollar does. It's their only choice. And so they continued printing hundreds of billions of dollars and sending them overseas in order to further devalue our dollar. And it's going to continue onward and upward, even though now we're printing $1 trillion. What is it, every 3 months under Biden-Harris? And that's not going to slow down at all.
Pretty close to that. It's way too much. It's totally unsustainable. Like it's you can't do that and expect the outcome to be anything good. And it's all part of destroying us. It is absolutely all because they want us all so broke that we become reliant on the government. The government is here to help. It's the 5 worst words you can ever hear. The government is here to help. The government is here to 6.
Hey, Marcel, you know, I had a question about Trump. Aaron posted about a potential crypto that he's running.
Yeah.
So if you can disclose any information, what it has to do with you or Lit Exchange, if not, just give us, you know, what you can tell.
I don't think anybody has any info about it. I think it's going to be a crypto exchange myself. That's just my own personal thing, but I don't think they've said anything about what it actually is. I don't think it's going to be a shitcoin. To be honest,
They're vague. They're very vague. Specifically, I think you guys. I don't think that they have a necessary. You know, like I don't think that they have it all worked out yet. I think that Trump and Trump Jr. are just coming to the realization that a crypto exchange of sorts would be in their best interest. But no, I really don't think that they've come out with very, very vague statements in that regard. And I think because they haven't really fleshed out the plan yet, and that these things take significant amount of time. Jeff, like you were asking, we've been working on Lit Exchange in development for 3 years now. Since September of 2021, we've been developing our software and applications for Android, iPhone, and PC as well. Everything. So these things take a significant amount of time. We've obviously got a fully fleshed out business plan, marketing plan, and all the others there. We have no word from the Trump administration whatsoever in regards to any coin or exchange as to what they're doing. I just know that we are working on a stock brokerage and crypto brokerage firm, and we started 3 years ago for the purposes of taking orders out of Darkpools, as well as helping the retail investor to more accurately communicate and strategize with the millions of other people that are trading their same equities, kind of in the same way that we currently do, spread across a multitude of social media sites, but all in one place by bringing those social media sites integration into Lit Exchange. So kind of giving people the opportunity to strategize in a massive way, as well as we're using artificial intelligence to filter a lot of the data and information and provide it to the people in our upcoming brokerage to give them details onto its accuracy. And then that will allow the people within our software, website, app, etc., to discuss it between themselves to decide if this is something that is a good piece of due diligence or information that they can use to help them craft a strategy for investment. I did, however, just get done speaking with PhD economist and former Fitch ratings analyst, Dr. Marco Metzler, just a couple hours ago. And he has a gold and silver backed cryptocurrency token available in Europe, Canada, and other parts around the world. They're still working on getting regulatory approval here in the United States for their security. And we did discuss it on the recording, and that will be airing later this week. However, the exciting part is that we have agreed, both Dr. Metzler from Sirius Gold and ourselves here, my partner and I at LitExchange, to host his cryptocurrency, which is backed by physical gold and physical silver, on LitExchange as the first and only exclusive broker-dealer, crypto broker for the purchase and sale of his security. Now, I have to say, this is not a solicitation of any kind, and I'm not asking or telling anyone to buy, hold, or sell any security of any time. These are things that are coming in the near-term future once we've met all regulatory approval. But I'm really excited about that. So people will be able to buy, obviously, stocks and crypto on LitExchange, as well as gold-backed and silver-backed cryptocurrency. So unlike Bitcoin and other, shit coins that are not Bitcoin and other, cryptocurrencies that are backed by nothing except for their place in the blockchain, not only is this token on the blockchain, but it's also backed by physical gold and silver, where you can actually request delivery of the actual metal itself and receive it in the form of a physical, which is pretty exciting in my opinion.
So it's not backed by ghost gold, like the AMC tokens that, oh yes, they're backed 1-to-1 with AMC shares. Oh wait, you have 600 million tokens. There's not that many shares. Yeah, they're backed 1-to-1. That's really cool. That's exciting to hear. One thing I did want to talk about is you had sent me a link for it, and I think I would definitely benefit everybody that's watching or will watch in the future here. LitExchange has passed through some steps and are now in like the founding phase. And I'd like to, it's like a 5-minute video. So do you want to play it and share it, or should I just put it on here?
Why don't you share it on your end so that it gets the better quality? I know a lot of people here have seen it, but that's correct. Yeah, we've done a significant amount of work over the 3 years on it, and we are at the point where we're in the home stretch, and we just need sufficient capital in order to go to FINRA and say, okay, we've got enough money. Here's our application. Please give us the approval once we've met all the regulatory things as a fully licensed broker dealer. And that's pretty much the last step before we can get to launch. Let's put it that way. Not the absolute last step, but it's right there. We're at the finish line. And so far, so good. In the first 24 hours, we raised, in the first 12 hours, we raised over $150,000 from retail investors. Now, keep in mind, this is not a donation. We're not asking for people to donate money to us. This is an investment through a FINRA-approved funding portal. This is not a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe. This is through a FINRA-approved funding portal called Silicon Prairie. Much similar to what you guys would consider, WeFunder, etc. And they're very different from a GoFundMe in the sense that they actually have to go through all the regulatory approvals to be a broker-dealer themselves in order to facilitate the trade, the exchange of equity in our company, LitExchange, for your investment dollars, and so on. So there's a lot of perks and benefits there that we're offering to people. The minimum investment amount is $500. So $500 would get investors 1 unit. A unit is not a share. It is just a percentage of investment in the company relative to that which is being sold. And eventually, when we IPO on the New York Stock Exchange in the coming years, then the investors, on top of all the other perks and benefits that they receive, will then have the opportunity to sell their shares on the New York Stock Exchange for what we believe to be significant profits.
That's awesome.
And I'm very limited by law in telling people I believe the company will be worth that.
Right. Oh yeah. No, you can't. You definitely don't want to. You want to be very careful with your forward-looking statements.
Exactly. And you can find there's hundreds and hundreds of pages of documentations, the offering memorandum, the marketing plan, the business plan, the executive summaries, our financial audits, and so on, available on the FINRA approved funding portal, Silicon Prairie. And I'll throw you a link to that in a minute. But yeah, if you want to share your screen or if you want to play that video, I will shut up and people can see what it's all about.
All right, let me do that here. Let's see here. I've got it up here. Why don't I you want me to let me share it.
Yeah, if you share it, I can just show it over here on my screen too, and
okay.
And that'll make things easy also.
I want to be clear. I do not respect the SEC.
We made the decision in the morning to limit the buying of about 13 securities on our platform. So we're really in unprecedented times. In order to protect the firm, we had to limit buying.
That markets are efficient because of active managers setting the prices of securities. Firms like Citadel, we're all running large teams of people that are engaged in fundamental research, trying to drive the value of companies towards where we think they should be valued.
Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX, he's been charged by U.S. courts and the SEC with money laundering, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and securities fraud for the collapse of FTX. The former chairman of NASDAQ, Bernie Madoff, built the largest Ponzi scheme in history. Over 4 decades, he faked records of annual gains to investors who thought he was investing their funds, when in fact, he was just using new investor capital to pay off older investors.
But the synthetic shorting and naked shorting, which is illegal, market maker can execute naked shorts insofar as they're facilitating a trade. The regulators are looking at that now as to whether or not there was this naked shorting by the market makers on behalf of the hedge funds in order to facilitate the shorts. And I think they're going to uncover that there were some issues there. But the penalty for naked shorting is really not significant enough to stop it. Citadel and Goldman and all of the players get fined constantly for doing this.
Hedge funds and other Wall Street firms have teams of analysts working together to compile research and analyze shares of companies. Individual investors do not have those resources.
I basically would like to ask the SEC why they didn't act on the morning of January 28th, because I was so scared. I can't tell you how scared I was. I was so scared. I can't tell you how scared I was.
Well, Thomas, what were you scared about? Just that, what does failure look like? You said we came close to breaking. What were you scared of?
I was scared of a domino bankruptcy. I tell you, the rules require the long brokers to go into the market and buy the shares at whatever price. So that drove the shares up to $480, and then suddenly it didn't go further, but it could have gone further.
So buying and selling those 200 shares would make the market maker $1. But as millions of shares are traded, the profits from the spread pay off. In 2020, these brokerages collected almost $2.6 billion in payments for stock and option orders.
These brokers, including Interactive Brokers and Robinhood, that generate revenue from selling the order flow to market makers.
Business has always been done like this on Wall Street for over 100 years.
Our orders compete against each other to get the best prices. But if the order instead is routed to a wholesaler that has agreed to pay for it, the order is not going to an exchange and is not necessarily receiving the benefit of that broader competition.
As you mentioned about commission or zero commission does not mean it's free. It does have some cost inside. Some brokers have payment for order flow.
Disclosure alone, by enhancing the disclosure around payment for order flow, really will address it. United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, all have banned payment for order flow. I know we have different markets, different systems. We even have letters that we've gotten over the years dating back over the last 20 years, articulating why it's not good for our system. So I really ask staff to consider that, but also to consider it only in the context of the entire market structure.
January 28th, our daily deposit requirement was 10 times more than on January 25th. As a result, Robinhood Securities imposed temporary trading restrictions on certain securities. Robinhood Securities put the restrictions in place in an effort to meet increased regulatory deposit requirements.
The decision to restrict trading really was internal to Robinhood. We did not have discussions about that. Like GameStop, AMC, all these meme stocks have brought naked short selling really to the forefront of the market interest. This is something that's going on for a very long time in a small cap market and is very much a problem.
For your husband ever made a stock purchase or sale based on information you received from
No, absolutely not. Okay, thank you.
Those are fully collateralized tokens.
That markets are efficient because of active managers setting the prices of securities.
The order is not going to an exchange and is not necessarily receiving the benefit of that broader competition.
Again,
Has he done shit?
It's
He's
wild
talking
the
about
shit
it,
that
but
we're
he's
seeing.
done shit.
yeah, I don't think he's done a single thing for us, honestly.
Whoops. Now it's time to watch the language.
Well, Jeff, we're gonna have to mute your mic.
Oh yeah, it was me.
Yeah, because I never swear ever. Totally same.
So speaking of Gensler, Marcel, you were talking about all the regulatory stuff you've been going through with LitExchange. Do you see any anything happening in the future to improve this landmine based regulatory system we have?
Sadly, no, especially not under the Harris administration. You know, they have been very detrimental to cryptocurrencies, and the Securities Exchange Commission just announced a couple days ago that they are trying to classify NFTs as a security. This is under the watch of Gary Gensler. And earlier this week, Kamala Harris has stated that she would be interested in making Gary Gensler the head of the United States Treasury. So if they're giving Gary Gensler a promotion to Secretary of Treasury for the United States, where do you think they're going to go with cryptocurrency? They're probably going to make it even worse and harder to implement a cryptocurrency of any kind here in the United States, and partially, 100 million Americans that are invested in crypto and people around the world should be looking towards the Trump administration to make America great again, if you will, and to bring cryptocurrency and the development of cryptocurrency here to the United States, and to allow exchanges to legally be regulated and sell cryptocurrency in a way that they should. Recently the company called Abra was just smashed by the SEC, and rightfully so, because they were. You all right, sweetie? All right. Rightfully so. Here, take a sip of this. They were smashed by the SEC and shut down last year, and now they have to pay back $81 million to retail investors because they were operating an unregistered crypto exchange and clearinghouse. If we wanted to do something like that, we could have done that already, and we could have launched LitExchange, and everything would have been great for a year or two until the SEC came banging down our door to shut us down, and then we would have to give retail investors their money back and, possibly even faced prison time. But you see this little girl? I didn't ask her to come over here. She likes being by me, and she came over and doesn't want to leave, and that's fine. But I enjoy being with my family, and I love them to death. And I would never do anything to put myself at risk of not being able to see them every day. And so I'm doing things to a T, by the letter, the way that they're supposed to be, to make sure that we achieve all of the regulatory requirements, all of the legal requirements to become both a stock and crypto brokerage firm. That's why it's taken us 3 years to get to where we're at now with the creation and development of Lit Exchange. Instead of just launching an exchange like Abra or Kraken or any of these others that just launch these crypto exchanges and operate for a few years and make as much money as they can and pilfer the retail investor and then say, okay, goodbye. Here's a little bit of money back. All right, we're gonna disappear now. That's not what we're about. We're about doing things legally and the right way so that we can, leave a legacy of better markets for our kids and for our families. Please stop, honey. And that includes taking orders out of dark pools. Because as long as orders are traded in dark pools, price discovery is never going to happen. Precious metals are traded 96% in dark pools. That is how the central banks control the price of silver and gold. Equities like GameStop, AMC, Tesla, Nvidia are traded 74% in dark pools. Only 26% of equities are actually traded on lit exchanges on average. That's by banks, prime brokerages, the world's largest traders. And so the only way that we're going to change that is by doing it ourselves. They're not going to come over here and change their mind and all of a sudden JP Morgan or Citadel or Virtue are going to stop trading orders in dark pools. Absolutely not. They're going to internalize orders. As you can see here on my screen, on January 28th alone, Virtue Financial ran $2.2 billion worth of GameStop through dark pools. On January 29th, Citadel internalized $2.2 billion and Virtue internalized another $1.4 billion on top of that. This is never going to stop until we make the time and effort to actually do it our damn selves. And I want this kid to be able to have a 401k and an IRA and trade stocks and bonds and not have to worry about constant market manipulation, and as well as you and your family and your kids, because it's the right thing to do. It's what our kids and great grandkids deserve. And we need to, I want my legacy to be that I helped make financial markets better. And I think a lot of people out there feel the same. And that's why people are invested in stocks like AMC and GameStop. And they want these markets to be better. And that's why they began where this was about making money. This was about, making a quick buck with a lotto scratcher like Aaron was talking about. We did our homework. The fundamentals are good. The technical analysis is good. And these stocks show great potential for gains. We've seen it on multiple occasions where they've gone up 2,000%. Now, for a lot of people, including myself, it's personal. It's about the manipulation. It's not just about the money. And it's to the point where I need to do something to actually make this change happen. And hence, that's why we've decided that a stock and crypto brokerage that routes orders to lit markets, that takes orders out of dark pools, is the 100% way to go to make the maximum impact.
You know why she's making the faces, Marcel? It's because she saw Ken Griffin in that video. That's a natural reaction. It's actually instinctual. That's burned in the genes.
Is that right?
That when you see Ken Griffin, you make a face.
I want to hear her say market manipulation.
Can you say it to the microphone?
Yes.
Say market manipulation.
Manipulation.
That's awesome. Oh, I hope we got a recording of that.
Where are we going? Say it louder.
To the moon.
Oh, that's right.
The moon.
To the moon.
To the moon.
That's right. When are we going? You don't know? Me neither, but we're going to get there.
We're going to the moon. Whee! Going to the moon. Whee!
That's awesome. That is awesome.
All right. Can you go in the other
Aaron, so I know
room,
you're not
please?
that close to an AMC movie theater.
Oh, I am
But,
so far away from an AMC movie theater.
The last month I've been going to try to see movies and they are sold out every time.
That's awesome.
Where I am.
I mean, that sucks for you that you can't go, but it's awesome that you get to go. I'm excited that you have one near you, and I'm excited it's full. The box office numbers are really, really good, and that's just. I think we're through the the really bad part. I don't think we're in any kind of trouble as far as box office numbers from here moving forward. I mean, really, I don't know if you, Marcel, you follow retail stock at all?
Not a ton, but I have seen some of his stuff, and yeah, he brings up some great points. You know.
Really good at the forecasting, like part
Mhm.
of it, like you know, looking at the movies that are coming and
Yeah.
you know, and the numbers and that kind of stuff. And he's been pretty right on as far as you know, his predictions, and this quarter is where things start turning around, and you can already see it in the box office numbers. They're well over 2 billion. Actually, let me see if I can bring that up real quick. Box office mojo.
I
You
just
ever wanna
wanted to
look
add.
up-
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh.
I thought there was a pause. I just wanted to add briefly, you know, that's part of that little girl that just went running off. That's the legacy that I want to leave behind. I want to leave behind better markets for them, and that's the creation of Lit Exchange. And so far, you know, many people have invested in Lit Exchange, retail investors, because we don't want to go to hedge funds and ask them for money and be beholden to them like Sequoia and State Street. Although we could, that's not something I want to do whatsoever. So I'm asking you as a retail investor, whoever may be watching this, if you are interested in making a difference and you want to invest $500 in the market, instead of putting it in the massive overvalued bubble that is the S&P 500 or cryptocurrencies, consider spending $500 or $1,000 or however much you can invest in a midterm length investment in private equity of Lit Exchange. And then when you will be an owner of the company, you will own equity in the company, and when we IPO, you will receive shares equal to the amount of your investment was, whatever that may be. And then also, one of the many perks is first buyer's rights. So if in a couple years we're going to IPO on the New York Stock Exchange and we have, say, X million users, and you believe we're going to be, the stock price is going to go up significantly from the IPO price, you will have the opportunity before anybody else as a founding investor to buy more shares before the IPO begins. That's called pre-IPO buyer's rights. That's one of many perks and benefits that are available to people as a founding investor and founding member of Lit Exchange. So that's not a requirement. That's just one of the many perks. And I am limited in telling you guys all of the other perks because this one I can state because it's what this SEC considers a tombstone communication, which means it's basically a cold, hard, dead fact. And I'm not, stating other things about the offering. But yeah, if you guys want to see it, Aaron, I shot you over a Discord message with the link. If you wouldn't mind popping it over, to people so they can see the link, I would really appreciate that. Also, if you're watching this video and you don't see the link, you can literally type Lit Exchange Silicon Prairie or Silicon Prairie Lit Exchange into your browser and it will pop up on Google. Again, Silicon Prairie is a FINRA approved funding portal, and we've spent a lot of time and money getting to the point where we're at now in the business development stages, and you can see everything related there to the offering, including all the perks and benefits and equity ownership, et cetera, that you would receive directly on the Silicon Prairie site. Thank you, Justin. Welcome, my friend. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate you, Jeff. You guys are amazing.
Well, it's good to have you. We need to we need to get together more often. People are starting to ask about us on Twitter and stuff.
Yeah, which is awesome.
We need to get together again.
I'm signing up now. Actually, you have to actually sign in before you can.
If you're talking about, are you talking about the FINRA approved funding portal, Silicon Prairie, or the Lit Exchange website?
It says Lit Exchange APXIO.
Oh yeah, that's the one. Yep, that's the one.
I'll register.
Yeah, you have to basically, in order to invest in the company, obviously do your due diligence, right? All of the information's there. There's a 106-page offering memorandum. There's a 20-page business plan, a 20-page pitch deck. It's all there. Take your time, go through it, make sure it's an investment that you could see yourself holding, for the midterm length. It's not a quick flip. We're not on the New York Stock Exchange today. You can't sell tomorrow, but when we do IPO, you will then be able to sell it. And what we believe to be for significant gain. Now, obviously, there's risk involved, and that's all laid out in the offering memorandum and everything else that you see there. Basically, once you decide if you want to invest, all you got to do is you make a pledge, you subscribe your pledge, say, I want to invest $1,000. You type in 1,000, you put it in right there, you put in the details, and then you fund that. After that, you get an email confirmation, and then you can fund the pledge. So basically, you subscribe a pledge. It's not like a recurring thing or anything. Subscribe is the word that FINRA wants the funding portal to use, I guess. So that's what they have to do. You basically subscribe to the amounts and say you want to invest $1,000 today. Then you go ahead and fund that, and the money comes from, your credit card, debit card, wire transfer, bank account, whatever you want. And then in the future, in a couple weeks, you go, hey, you know what? I just sold my car, or, I'm getting back a tax return, or I'm getting back this. I'm going to have some extra cash, and I was thinking about putting it into my 401k. Maybe I'll split that, put half into my 401k, I'll put half into Lit Exchange, and I'll buy another $1,500 worth. Then that would make you eligible for the higher tier investment in Lit Exchange, because it is cumulative. So everything that you invest in Lit Exchange, whether you do $500 twice, would give you the $1,000 level of perks, for example, or $2,500 two times would get you the $5,000 level of perks. And so each time you would just subscribe and then fund it. And on the back end, after the fact, when the raise is over, we will go in and add up how much each person invested in the company and make sure that you receive all of the adequate perks and benefits commensurate with that amount. So it does stack, and they are cumulative, and you don't have to make the full investment now. So if you want to invest $500 this month, $500 next week, $500 next month, whatever, then you could do that, and it would just add up to the higher tier levels if you decided so. Justin,
there's a lot of
it's okay.
information there. If you go to that link, I posted the link. I pinned it as a top comment in the Rumble, and I also put a post in the Telegram channel. So there's a lot of information there. There's PDFs with a ton of information. Make sure you do your research, do your due diligence. Don't just guys. I will never ever suggest that you just say, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to listen to you and do whatever." Do your homework.
Yes,
that's
please.
my biggest thing since I've been doing this, and I've been doing this for it's been a long time. What do I always say, guys? Do your own homework. I will help you research. I'll help you find where to dig. I'll show you where you can find information. I will teach you how to dig if that's necessary. But I won't just hand you answers. I've never been that guy, and I never will be that guy. I will give you my opinions, and I will say, here's how I feel about it. But I want you guys always to do your own homework. I want you guys to do your own research. There's a lot of information there. So definitely take the time and go through it. Even if you're not going to invest, get educated. There's a lot of information there that can help you get educated and understand how these things work. And, even like I said, even if you're not going to invest, maybe you know somebody that would. And you'll have that information you'll be able to share with them. Or maybe that information will help you understand something a little bit better. Information and knowledge is power. It really is. And you always need to remember that. So one thing I was talking about before that was the box office. And I did want to, before we ended our get together here, I did want to bring up the box office. Can you enable sharing real quick on your Zoom?
For me? Oh, yeah, I didn't know I had to. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you've got me all disabled.
Sorry about that. It's just the standard settings.
More
I don't know what it came
disabled than
with.
I am normal, people, for those who
Where is it at here?
Boy, I haven't done streams in so long. It's like hurting my throat to talk so much. Holy cow. My wife would disagree. She would say I talk plenty.
All right, it's set up.
This is the quarter to date box office numbers. And I'm just going to say that this means, so from the beginning of the quarter, which would be July 1st, to now for each year. And look at where we're at. We're over 2 billion in 2019, 2018, 2017. We're kicking ass. We're back. And the thing I'd really like to point out is look how many releases there are. Look at 2019. There's 272 releases, and the gross was 2.09 billion. We only have 158 releases, and we're at 2.04 billion, basically. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's really, really awesome.
people in the comments are wondering when AMC distribution and AMC is going to take off, but I think it's pretty clear there. Look at this same quarter right now is about to exceed pre-pandemic levels of 2018 and it actually already beat 2018 with 110 fewer movies.
Yeah.
That's massive.
There's a lot fewer movies, and they're going to be rolling, and we're still a little bit in that writer's strike, because here's the thing that most people don't understand. They think like the somebody writes the movie, and then like the movie comes out like 3 to 6 months later.
Right.
It doesn't work like that. It takes a whole lot longer than 3 to 6 months.
Be
to
nice,
put
chat.
Any kind of movie that has any kind of quality to it out. It just doesn't happen that quick. So yeah, I mean, there's so much that needs to be done. It's not just they go out with the scripts and and this. I mean, they've got to cast it, they've got to film it, they've got audio, there's editing, there's post editing, there's so much shit they need to do, and then they got to build hype for it, because you don't just, as soon as the movie's like ready, like they just finished the movie, they get the final edit down, they don't release it the next day. You got to take a couple of months and hype the shit out of it and get people excited to go see it. So there's a lot of time that goes in before a movie comes out in the theater. One of the good things, though, is even Netflix, I think it's Netflix, or is it Amazon? One of the two or both have actually put part of their production company's budget towards making films for release in theaters. I think it was Amazon for sure. But I thought Netflix was doing the same thing. I thought they were releasing some stuff to theaters. And that just tells me all I need to know, in that movie theaters are back.
We're so back, baby. Movie theaters are about to take off. To think that we've had, look at this, the numbers now are about to exceed 2019, and there was 272 releases quarter to date for 2019. And quarter to date right now, there's 158. That's a huge, huge number of fewer movies. So it's like more people are going to the movies, even though there's fewer films.
Well, that's one thing about inflation. Inflationary times, movie theaters tend to thrive, because, believe it or not, regardless of what the shills and the short hedge funds on Twitter will have you believe, that ticket prices are so expensive. It's actually a cheap date. It really is. I mean, it's a good source of entertainment, and it's not crazy expensive. I do get a couple of hands up. You got time for a few questions from the crowd?
Yeah, why not? That'd be awesome. I love talking to your
All right,
audience. You got a really educated bunch of people there that are on your Telegram, and I really like to see it. I wish I could have more time to spend on there, but I'm already strapped with all the stuff going on.
Yeah, I know the feeling, believe me.
Mhm.
Let's see. Let's start with Greg Calabria. Hold on here a second, Greg. And there we go. Greg, how you doing, bud?
What up, brother?
How you
hear
doing?
me?
Yes, we can.
What's up, Greg?
All right,
It's good to see you, my friend.
Hi, Dad.
Oh yeah, I just saw Reagan. Me and my mom went. It's fucking awesome. Everybody should see it.
You saw Reagan?
Kinda actually where we are. Yep, it was amazing. It's yeah, the audience applauded at the end of the movie. It was
That's so cool. That's so cool.
And you-
Yeah.
And you could tell it's not a movie written by the deep state, just the way it's written. So you don't have to, because every time you go see a movie now, you're like, what the fuck? I got to read into this shit. Is this fucking real? Or is they just trying to sell me some bullshit, So
right.
This is a good movie. And there was a lot of 17s in the movie. So that should tell you something.
Interesting.
Because we also infiltrated the movie theater. The White Hats have also. That's my belief. Is the White Hats also infiltrated the movie theater, and you'll see flashes of 17 in some of these movies as you watch them that are coming out from the White Hats.
I don't think any industry or department or organization is 100% deep state. I think that there's good actors everywhere. It's just like there's bad actors everywhere. So I don't.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, in the movie Reagan, when he's an actor, Reagan, he's talking about how the movie industry was already infiltrated. He's like, it's like, you know, he was talking about it in the movies. So it's funny to watch because he had an experience of being in Hollywood. And when he was in Hollywood, he had all these aspirations, and his wife at the time, you know, saw that he was, you know, inspired and wanted to make a change. And it wasn't Nancy because he divorced a wife before her. And his said to him, she goes, you know what? There's nothing uglier than an actor that has an ambition that wants to push it on the world. It was pretty funny. And then, you know, he got inspired to be governor, and he became governor, and that gave him the power to run for a president. So it really
Sounds
just
like a good movie.
You know, I grew up in the Reagan era, but I think we're all about the same age, and we know Reagan was one of the good guys, but we just really, you know, we're maybe too young to put all the pieces of the puzzle together with that one, but that really puts the pieces of the puzzle together on that movie. So I encourage everybody to see it.
Well, Reagan was really like the 1980s version of Trump, honestly, and not just policy.
Oh yeah,
but
100%.
he was a total outsider coming in and just shaking the system up, and he did a lot of great things for the country, really did. And the same thing, you know, he went through a lot of persecution and everything too. But
oh yeah, I mean, he almost got killed.
yeah,
too.
exactly, exactly. And our media wasn't nearly as bad then, and there's a reason for that. And I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you may, Greg, but I don't know if you know this, Marcel. But Obama did an executive order when he was president that allowed the media to become propaganda arms of the government. So you could literally run a psyop on the American people after Obama signed that executive order. I forget which one it is exactly, but that wasn't allowed before. And
Correct.
now it is.
It used to be illegal for the media to lie to Americans, and Obama. Obviously, a lot of people now are realizing that you know, he's a deep state puppet, and he was implemented by the deep state in order to help push along their agenda over the coming years. And part of that fell under the executive order. I can't remember the number right now, but yeah, they made it legal for the mainstream media, news sources, to lie purposefully, knowingly, to the American people. And that was, so as you guys stated, specifically so that the Democrat administration, the Obamas, could push along any fake info that they wanted without it being illegal.
Yeah, and that's really where MSM went down the tubes, obviously, because once there's no repercussions for that, once you're allowed to just do whatever, you know,
say do
whatever
anything
the hell you want, and you just be like, oh, this isn't true, we don't care. That's where, you know, and I mean, the media has freedom of the press as part of our Constitution. The reason it's part of our Constitution is because the media is supposed to keep our government and politicians honest.
In check.
It's supposed to keep them in check. And Obama literally took that away. He literally took that away by signing, I forget which one it is, but by doing that, he literally took that away. And we all know that they're controlled by only 3 people anyways. Like, all the media is pretty much controlled by 3 people. And so that illusion of choice is part of the reason why we're where we at as far as the MSM.
I just watched, I don't mean to stop you, but I just watched a movie, Straight Outta Compton. And I didn't know that movie was about NWA for so many years, and I just watched it. And that's what they were advocating for. That the media was fake, and they were artists that were just, you know, reporting the truth just through music. And you know, when you go down the rabbit hole on Eazy-E, it looks like there's a conspiracy out there that he was murdered by the CIA. Because if you look at a lot of these artists like Bob Marley, Martin Luther King, so many of these other people, they died young. You don't die from cancer at 30 years old or 31. They said Easy died of AIDS. Meanwhile, he had AIDS. 1 month later, he was dead. Even back then, it didn't happen like that. And his wife didn't have it. None of his kids had it. Nobody around him had it. So, they were going after the media, and they were going after, the police. And they were trying to get the word out there that they were calling bullshit on the police.
Well, don't you find it mildly interesting that the guy who was in charge of the NIH at the time was friggin' Fauci for AIDS?
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
and
Marcel,
they-
you didn't know that
and they-
rabbit hole? Hold on. Marcel raised his eyebrows like he didn't know about that rabbit hole. Back during the AIDS epidemic, there was people with signs talking about Fauci should be hung and killed and everything else because he was behind a lot of that.
Yep. 100%.
That is eye-opening to me.
Yeah. So
it was an easy sell to take Easy E out like that because he was a man whore. So, that's not hard to believe when someone's like that. So, but if you start going down the rabbit hole, there's a lot of look at Bob Marley. If you watch the Bob Marley movie, he was all about coming out against fraud governments. And then he was dead in his 30s too. He got cancer or something
I
like
love
that.
Bob Marley's music. It's music that literally speaks to you. Like if you just
movie's
sit
amazing
down-
too.
Yeah.
Did you see the movie? The movie was really good.
I have not yet. No, but if you
got-
if you sit down, you don't have to, roll a spliff, but I mean you can. But if you just sit down and you just kind of absorb some of Marley's music and listen to the words and what he's saying, he has so much to say in his music. It's not just music for music's sake. Like he's really communicating a message. And it's awesome. It's really, really cool. Like if you never really listened to any Bob Marley music, listen to some. It's totally worth it.
Yeah, 100%. Hey, boss, I sent you an email a couple months ago. I don't know if you ever read it. It was pretty long. But maybe if you can go in your email box and read it at some point. I wanted to ask you guys about the volume. What do you think? Because I think, boss, you said that it was because of the CAT system now that they really can't get away with it any longer.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up, actually. Let's discuss this, guys. So, the Consolidated Audit Trail, for those of you that don't know, is called the CAT system. And long story short, it makes every order on the market trackable and verifiable by the Securities Exchange Commission. This SEC has been using the Consolidated Audit Trail for a significant period of time. And it is fully implemented now as of, I believe, September 26th of 2024. And everybody must report to the CAT system, to the NMS plan for the CAT system, compliance, long story short. And even if they don't, the Securities Exchange Commission can work with the DOJ to prosecute people who are manipulating markets or doing things illegally or, pulling an Andrew Left of Citron Research and saying they did one thing, selling off their shares and going off in the opposite direction, or saying they're short a company and then selling immediately. Again, that's all market manipulation in a different form. But what you're talking about is market manipulation in the form of volume. And that exists directly through hedge funds and market makers trading shares between their own companies, either amongst themselves or from their sister company to the other. This is called a wash trade. Now, you may know as a retail investor, if you've ever traded, you might know it as, wash sales. And a wash sale is when you buy a share and you sell it before it has the chance to settle. What is occurring here in financial markets is hedge fund A can buy a share, or let's say 1 million shares, and sell them in batches in ever increasing lower dollar amounts from hedge fund A to their sister company, hedge fund B. These are wash trades. And they do that because every time that one of those order executes at a slightly lower price, it brings down the stock price. This creates massive volume, although artificial volume, because it's not retail investors or one fund buying it from another for actual purposes of buying or selling the equity, but the same fund is selling it to their sister fund for the purposes of artificially bringing down a stock price, or in the opposite sense, artificially bringing up a stock price in the form of a pump and dump. But in this case, they're no longer able to do that, because then they would see, the SEC would get these orders and see that hedge fund A is selling one order after the next, hundreds and hundreds of times, if not thousands of times, using high frequency trading algorithms to hedge fund B. This is the definition of wash trading. And this is highly illegal, but it's been being used for decades, specifically for the purposes of market manipulation. And Aaron, what happens when a hedge fund can no longer, or a market maker, or a family office, or anybody, can no longer wash trade these shares amongst themselves over and over again?
Liquidity dries up, number one.
That's right.
They literally can't do a whole lot. I mean, it handcuffs them quite a bit, and that's where a lot of the volume that we see, because I mean, think about it. On a normal normal basis, when there's activity in AMC, before all this happened, we'd see 30, 40 million trades in a day or whatever, and we'd see a lot of action. And the algo, we'd always talk about the algos are really working it today, like a lot of volume is happening. And there's even days where you see, if the float is 150 million and you see 600 million shares traded in a day. How do you think that happens? Like, there's not 600 million people who bought and sold that day. I'm telling you right now, it's not what happened. There's computers talking to each other, and that's hedge fund A and hedge fund B. Those two computers are just selling back and forth to each other.
Yeah.
Driving that.
You buy them, then I buy them, then you buy them, then I buy them, and we'll just bring the price down by a fraction of a penny or a few cents every single time. And we'll do that thousands and thousands of times, over and over again.
Goes to the lit markets. Now, I've seen this happen. Like, I don't know if you've ever watched the level 2, but I watch that fucking level 2 like a hawk. When I suspect bullshit is going on, I watch that level 2 like a hawk. And you can see there's a little 3-letter code on the right on the level 2. And like NAS, that's NASDAQ. That means it went to the lit market. That's a lit market trade. And then you're going to see some that a lot on AMC and GME and meme stocks and highly manipulated stocks. And when I say highly manipulated, I also mean NVIDIA. I mean Tesla. I mean Apple. Big names are heavily manipulated too. You don't think for a second that this highly inflated market, do you think that's all just people buying like crazy? It's not. It's inflated artificially, and it's done by all these different means. Some of these companies, yes, they innovate and they do things that are worthy of a higher stock price. But I'm telling you right now, the market as a whole is way overinflated, and it's all artificial, and it's done by these means. But our trades, and I've seen this happen. I've specifically gone to my Fidelity app, and I route through the market, and it doesn't go to NAS when it pops up on it, because I do a weird number. I'll do like 169 shares, or 312.
So you can see it.
I do a weird number, so I can see it, because most of the time in the level 2, it's 100, 100, 100, 1200, 300. It's always like an even number, and then you see a few weird ones in between. The weird ones in between, that's us. That's retail. That's real human beings trading at that point. Because we don't think in terms of hundreds. A lot of those hundreds also are for options because options are 100 shares. Every option contract is 100 shares. So a lot of times those hundreds are that too. But we don't think like computers. So we're like, hey, I've got $847 in my account. Okay, if it's $5 a piece, then I need 247 to pay the light bill. Okay, so that means I've got 600 left. That's all going to AMC. Like you're doing, so you're okay. I can buy 119 shares. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. 119 shares, and that's the weird numbers you see in the level 2. That's regular human beings. Now I went through Fidelity, and I said I specifically use the Active Trader app or whatever it's called. The
Active Trader Pro app that you have to download to your desktop, activate, go into the settings, and make it allow you to trade on lit markets. Call Fidelity manually and tell them to give you permission to route your trades manually. And yeah, make sure that you're using the application and properly routing your trades. It's a real fucking circus.
It's a pain in the balls.
Jumping
it's a
through
giant
hoops.
Pain in the balls. It's not easy. It's not easy. But I went through this process, and it used to route to the lit market, my order used to come up NAS. I'd see it come through. Now they come up as that stupid OTS. And OTS is, what is it? I forget what the O is, but it's trading system. And it's basically off market. Or it's like alternative trading system.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. The ATSs, there's a bunch of them, like Box, BOX is one of them, MEX, like there's a bunch of them. And they're all dark pools, there's 50 some odd dark pools, that you can be traded on here in the United States. They're all alternative trading systems. However, the majority of them are being used by companies like JP Morgan, Citigroup, Goldman, Citadel, Virtue, etc. And so when you're going on Robinhood or Webull or Schwab, etc., or even Fidelity, and you're buying or selling shares without manually doing the steps we just said about routing your orders manually through the app, on the software, blah, blah, blah. When you're just buying or selling shares, the broker decides who they allow to handle your shares. They're the intermediary. The broker says, okay, you want to sell these shares or you want to buy these shares, Aaron, and I'm going to decide who you're going to buy them from. And okay, so you know what? As the broker, Citadel is paying the most, so I'm going to give your order to Citadel. Or Virtue's paying the most, so I'm going to give your order to Virtue because I'm making a fraction of a penny more than I would if a lit market bought your order. So then they sell your order to them, and then the market maker, Virtue, for example, has your order, and they can literally give that information to their hedge fund, and they have. The hedge fund can then front run your trade to make sure that they make money and you lose money. The Securities Exchange Commission is literally currently suing Virtue Financial for that very thing because they gave their hedge fund access to all of the orders, including your personal information, your name, your order info, who, what, where, when, and why you're buying, what you're buying, and how much you're spending, etc. And they can then front run your fucking trade. All you got to do is Google SEC sues Virtue. Type that into Google, SEC sues Virtue, and you will see that the market makers, this is not a conspiracy, this is not allegations, this is what the SEC is saying that Virtue is doing, and Virtue's trying to deny it. They tried to get the case dismissed, but the judge about a week and a half ago saw them at the dismissal and said, you guys are fucking nuts. There's no way in hell, there's never been a case like this in the history of the United States. We're not dismissing this case. So Google that if you want, SEC sues Virtue, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. That is one of many reasons why we need a company like Lit Exchange, where we will send your order directly to the lit exchanges, directly to lit markets, like the NASDAQ, like the IEX, Investors Exchange, and it's really important, I think, people. And if everybody would help invest $500 in the company, we can make markets great again. Let's put it that way.
Yep. No, we really need it because I'll tell you, it's the Fidelity. Even though I told them to do that, they still, it's like they don't even care. And you'll see, like if you look at the level 2, and then you look at the bid and the ask. I don't know if everybody that looks at that, but the bid and the ask tells you how many orders are out there for different price points, basically. And I always slap the ask. So if the price of AMC is $5, then typically you will see the ask at $5.01 and you'll see the bid at $4.99, let's say, or $5, for example. And so whenever I buy my shares, if the ask is $5.01, I always go 2 cents more. Like I always go well beyond, because it's not gonna sell me shares at the price I put. It's gonna sell me the highest ask shares that are available. The lowest ask, actually. So if I say 503 and the current ask is 501, it'll sell me shares at 501. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I do that because you want buy orders to go on the ask if you want the price to go up. Now, if the ask says there's 2,000 orders at 501, and then I go and I buy 192 shares, you should see the ask, that 501 to 2,000 shares that are there, you should see that go down 192 shares. It should go down to 1808, but it doesn't. And I've seen big orders go through, 15, 20,000 shares, slapping the shit out of that ask, and that number doesn't move 1 inch. And then you see a little piddly, like a 20 sale hit the bid. Every single one of them shares counts. It starts knocking that bid down. And that's how they play this system. And another way too is you see what's called a order spoofing. And what that is you'll see on the ask, you'll see 12,000 shares at 505, and then 12,000 more shares at 515, and then 12,000 more shares. And you'll see that same number multiple spots in the bid and the ask.
Mm-hmm.
And those are all from the same place. And as soon as you reach them, so let's say the price starts going up and you're at 504 and you're about to start eating into that 505 and it's 12,000 shares or whatever it is, all of a sudden that order will just disappear. Just poof, it's gone. Like it never existed. That's called spoofing. It's totally against the law. It's crazy manipulation.
Yeah.
But they do it. They do it right in front of us all the time.
Spoofing.
And that's,
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, definitely.
Sorry, I want to say, I thought you were done. Spoofing is basically, for those of you that are wondering, when Aaron here is talking about the level 2, he's talking about the national best bid and offer. On your brokerage, if you're not aware, you see a whole bunch of numbers scrolling through, and you can see that the numbers it's the orders, the bid, and the ask side, and they're scrolling through. Those are orders being placed. A lot of times, most of the time, by high-frequency trading algorithms, computers that are putting in the orders. And sometimes you'll see some random weird number in there, like 169, like Aaron said, where Aaron was buying the shares, but that's very few and far between. And a lot of time, you'll see on the side where they were executed. It was executed on BOX. It was executed on NAS, etc. And that's the national best bid and offer. And it's hitting the ticker tape there on the level 2 data. You can see it there. So what spoofing is placing an order and then canceling it before the order is executed. Say the price is currently $5. I'm a hedge fund. I want to bring the price down. I can place with my computer, not me manually, program my computer, because that's what quants do, or that's what we have them pay them to do. They create a computer program to go in, and I'll tell it to lower the price of AMC. It will then put another, a few hundred orders in for $4.99, and then a few hundred for $4.98, and a few hundred more for $4.97, and so on. And right before the order is processed and accepted by somebody on the other end, the computer will then go in and cancel all the orders at the $4.99, so none of them get executed, but it creates artificial selling pressure on the stock, making people think that the stock price is going down. and actually causing the stock price to go down by means of people lowering their sell prices in order to meet the artificially lower ask. It sounds more complicated than it really is, but in reality, spoofing is placing orders via a high frequency algorithm and then canceling them before they're executed. The consolidated audit trail allows the Security Exchange Commission to see that this is happening. The order doesn't have to be traded for the Securities Exchange Commission to see that spoofing is occurring. And that is why you're currently seeing the stock price of AMC and GameStop stagnant at $5 and GameStop at, around $20-ish. And not just getting crushed down with massive volume like we used to see months ago. Now, I don't want people to mistake that for naivety on my part, because it's not. There is always going to be the opportunity for these guys to find new levels of manipulation, and there's always the opportunity for them to commit crime. But right now, the Department of Justice and the SEC have new tools through the CAT system, thanks to retail investors like you that championed for it, to see this happening and not necessarily stop it, but after the fact, come at them and sue them and potentially even chase them for criminal market manipulation, like you guys are seeing with Andrew Left and Citron Research, who's facing 370 years in federal F you in the ass prison, Come here. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, I also, when I see as a regular guy who doesn't know as much as you guys do, and I applaud both of you guys for, for how you guys dissect it and break it down into layman's terms for all us dumb fucks that don't really know, but pretend like we know more than we do. When I see the volume low, to me, that also translates into we're not fucking leaving.
Amen to that, my friend. Yeah, we're not leaving. That's for damn sure.
So I just shared a real quick. I shared some of the what a level 2 looks like.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful.
And look at this. See right here. See this OTC? This is what I'm talking about. I just looked it up. OTC stands. You're gonna be. I'm so mad at what this means. It's an over-the-counter market. This is where you normally trade shit that gets delisted.
Yep. OTC is for very, very low value stocks, sub $1, that do not meet the New York Stock Exchange's listing requirements.
Like what happened to Hertz a little while ago.
Correct.
I remember that. I made a shitload on Hertz. I made so much money before they went down. Like they were very volatile, and I played day market on them so much. And then of course they went away. But yeah, OTC. These orders here, none of these affected the price. I guarantee it. If you watch your level 2, anything that says OTC, you could see 100 million shares. If it says OTC, you're not going to see this price move. Not 1 inch. Because these orders don't do anything to the price. And you can watch for yourself. This is, again, I always say, educate yourself, watch for yourself. And I'm telling you, you watch the level 2 and you can see a green order literally means it hit the ask.
Mm-hmm.
So this 200 sale order right above this, right here in the order book, this is where you'd see the bid over here.
Yep.
And then you'd see the ask over here.
Which is the same thing that you're looking at now, but up at the top there in that order book. And it would be flashing and changing by the microsecond.
Yeah, you'd see like 2,000 at, let's see, 484, it looks like. So 484. This is what you'd see. Okay. So there'd be 2,000 orders in the ask at 484, and then the bid would be like, 1,400 or however orders it is at 483. Okay. So then this order here, when you have an order that hits the ask because it's green, 484, and there's 200 shares that were bought, you should see 200 shares come off of this. This should change to 1,800. but it doesn't. You'll
Correct.
see green after green after green. This 432, that won't come off it. You'll see all these green orders come through, a whole shitload of them, and this number will just stay at 2,000.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because of this OTC. I believe. I mean, who knows if that's actually what it is, but I believe it's because they're being traded over the counter. They're not actually hitting the lit market, so they're not affecting the actual order book that's out there.
Let me clarify one thing. Not that you're wrong, but let me expound upon it. When we say OTC, it's not going to the New York Stock Exchange in the same way that it were if it was going to a lit exchange. Let's just say this way. JP Morgan is selling the shares from his desk, from JP Morgan's desk, directly to Citadel's desk without it going to the New York Stock Exchange. They're selling it between themselves over the counter, from my side of the counter to your side of the counter. And it's not going to the New York Stock Exchange. And then they're processing, they're sending the information here in the form of ones and zeros to the New York Stock Exchange, saying that they executed this trade for those 432 shares OTC. So it's not proper price discovery. This is dark pools. This is over-the-counter trade, and this is what we need to prevent, and this is what we need to change in the markets. Instead of me selling you 432 shares over the counter, I need to sell you 432 shares through a lit exchange, through a lit market, like the New York Stock Exchange, the IEX, the NASDAQ, etc. And the only way that we can do that is by going in and manually routing the orders and hoping that, and most brokers don't even offer that, by the way. You can't do that on Webull. You can't do that on Schwab, etc., or Robinhood, not even fucking close. So that's why, in my opinion, getting orders out of dark pools is the best thing we can do, because then it will actually make a difference. Your dollars will make a difference on the stock price if they trade on lit markets. And that's not a fucking conspiracy. That's a fucking fact. That's why we need orders taken out of dark pools. And that's why we're that's why we're building and developing lit exchange. And that's why we need your help in order to launch it. Because I don't want to go to the hedge funds and say, hey, we need money to launch our brokerage. Give us some money so later on we can, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. That's not the point here. The point is to give retail investors the chance to own the company, and so that we can do right and keep in, do what benefits retail investors the most, no matter what. Because it's not all about greed.
Buy retail for retail.
Exactly. It's buy retail for retail, and making sure that we keep your best interests in mind.
Beholden to anybody. Yeah, you don't want to have to be beholden to anybody.
Absolutely not.
That's where, that's where, God forbid, Marcel.
Corruption.
That's
what
where
corruption
they can make certain kinds of vague little threats against your family and shit. And you know what I mean? I don't want that to happen to you.
Yeah, neither do I. And you know what? But the fact of the matter is that we need retail investors to participate and to invest in the company so that we don't have to go to hedge funds in order to launch this company. And so it's more of I'm going to do everything I can, no matter what, to keep this out of the power of hedge funds, but I don't want them to have any say in it whatsoever. They don't have to have any ownership in our company at all, so long as a sufficient number of retail investors, invests in the company so that we can have the funds. We don't need a ton of money, but we need more than we've got now. Let's put it that way. And in order to be able to actually receive the licensure as a broker dealer and be able to move forward and actually launch the product so people can use it. So that's why I'm going around and putting up tweets and doing videos and trying to, talk to people that are like-minded investors such as yourself, to give people the opportunity to at least review the business and look at the business plan and see if it's something viable that you might want to invest in for a period of time.
Well, and it comes down to this. We want change. All of us want change. If we're a retail investor and you're part of the ape movement, you absolutely want change. So here's your options. If you want change, you can wait for change, or you can make change.
Be the change.
Be the change.
Be the
Exactly.
change,
Make the fucking change.
Really. you need to, and that's what Marcel, Marcel, you've taken a lot of personal risk by doing this too. This is not risk free. This is not like a guaranteed gimme either for
No,
you.
I've got a ton of money in this. I've got 3 years of my life already invested in this, and we haven't
That's
even
right.
launched the company yet. I've spent
Here's
thousands and
the
thousands of
thing.
hours on this already.
It takes somebody to step forward and say, "Hey, this is what we need, and this is something we need." And again, everybody needs to make their own decisions. Everybody needs to do their own due diligence. But I'm just saying, it is something that we need because there is no brokerage that does what we needed to do. Look at the level 2 for yourself. When you see all of our orders going to the OTC and not affecting the bid and the ask up here like they're supposed to, ask yourself, how's that going to change? Ask yourself that question. Is it going to change if you call your brokerage and say, hey, I want it routed to NASDAQ? Do you think that'll change it? Do you think
Call Robinhood
downloading
and see what the fuck
Fidelity
they say.
Active Trader Pro and then going through all the stupid process to route to Lit Exchange, do you think that's going to make it happen?
Right.
It's not.
Exactly.
Because this is the reality we are in.
And you know what's fucked up?
Our buying of AMC is being routed through this stupid OTC, over-the-counter market. This is where bullshit fucking failing stocks go. Not anything that is listed currently should ever be trading in the OTC.
Right.
That's the biggest part of it. AMC is not delisted. It is part of the stock exchange.
It's
It
not
is
an
fully
OTC
accredited
stock.
and listed.
It's a fucking multi-billion-dollar company that has already done $2 billion plus in sales so far this year alone. That's been in business for 103 fucking years.
Yeah. But for real. This is not some little piddly fucking bullshit company, that we're going to make electric cars out of rubber bands and old Super Nintendo cartridges. Like, it's not a bullshit company. It's a company that's been listed on the exchange for a long time. And they're still listed on the exchange. The OTC is literally for companies that get delisted.
Yep.
Or are not listed on the exchange. Period. That's what it's supposed to be for. And to use it in this manner tells me that there's bullshit going on. There's no reason we should ever see fucking OTC in the level 2 on any company that is in the stock market, like that is listed on the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange or whatever. If it's on a major exchange, it should not say OTC in that level 2. Period. It shouldn't say it. But it says it. So how do we make that change? Do we go?
I got a suggestion. I have a suggestion.
Okay.
And I put the suggestion because Boss has been like Boss is the Trump and he's the spear of the fucking taking on these financial systems. I mean, I don't know anybody else out there that's got the balls to do what he's doing in the manner that he's doing. I watch a lot of your shows on Twitter later in the afternoon, and I watch your frustration sometimes and saying, why isn't anybody fucking complaining about this? And I think you got about 70,000 followers now on Twitter. I'll encourage you to do some cross interviewing.
Now I'm nervous. Boss is big time. Now I'm kind of scared.
Boss is big time. Boss took over. Boss is the last one standing besides you, Aaron. Fucking took over Trey and all these other motherfuckers. So, but Boss, I encourage you to do some. I know you're always bringing in some amazing information every afternoon, but I encourage you to do some cross interviewing, like with X22, some of these other Patriot channels, and I think you could even get RFK on your channel because I've seen him retweet your stuff before, so I know he knows who you are. I don't know, you speak to him sometimes, don't you? So maybe you should like do some cross interviews with people and start to grow your audience, and then we could all kind of like, follow that.
I appreciate
that's just
it.
a suggestion. I have a couple other things I want to say, and then I'll let somebody else just jump on because I don't want to take all you guys talking.
Can I jump in for 1 second before you go? Before you do?
Yeah, go ahead.
A lot of people don't know this. As a matter of fact, almost nobody knows this. But I have, for the better part of the last year plus, I've been in direct contact with the RFK Jr. administration. They reached out to myself.
Oh, it's amazing.
And they asked me, as well as some other people, to help them And I'm not going to name those other people, but they're all very talented and intelligent individuals that have even more experience in finance. But they asked us to help RFK Jr. craft his candidacy and his policies for creating change in financial markets. I have been one of the many people that has had direct conversations. I've put together, massive policy, potential policy changes for the financial markets directly with the RFK Jr. administration. So again, a lot of people don't know that about me. Aaron, I'm not even sure if you knew that, but I've been keeping that I've only a couple people in the Discord I've told in the past. And I think I did tell you, Aaron, but it's not exactly something like I run around like shouting from the rooftops because, I'm hoping that RFK actually has the opportunity, even if not himself as a president, but at least himself as part of the Trump presidency and a member of the campaign and the presidency itself, to make real changes to the health of this country and the financial system as well. So yeah, I have been working with their team in great depth, and I've given them a lot of information regards to the CAT system, regards to policy, regards to market manipulation, and literal specific documentation as to what we can do to make our markets better. So I don't just talk the talk. I don't just make YouTube and Twitter videos. I'm literally doing things behind the scenes every fucking day to try to make markets better for people.
Yeah, no, I believe I watched that documentary that you recommended the other day. That was an amazing documentary. It was a sad story too, with the guy that dies from cancer that was taking on this battle 10 years ago.
The Wall Street Conspiracy. That's right. Yeah, we just had Mark Falk on the channel.
Yeah, I watched
yeah. What was that, Aaron?
The only
I said, "You big old YouTube grifter." You.
Yeah. Yeah. People think that I'm a fucking grifter because I make YouTube videos or something, or like, this is my job. Like, I'm a fucking business owner. I don't do YouTube for the money. It doesn't pay shit. I do YouTube. My videos get a couple thousand views. I do it to try to educate people.
By the way, yeah, it doesn't do shit. It really doesn't. It does. I mean, you have to have millions of views for YouTube to even become financially anything worth it.
Yeah.
We got to get Boris Blunt on Joe Rogan.
I fucking wish, man. I've tried. I've tried. They haven't reached out. And you know what? I am trying to get on other channels. And thankfully, our man Aaron here has been awesome enough to take the time to have another, live stream with me and with all of us here so that we can discuss these things. But yeah, I'm trying to reach out to as many people as I can. There is a good potential for me to be on the RFK Jr. podcast on his YouTube channel in the future. At least that's what I've been told. They told me that they would have me on along with other retail investors. We'll see if that comes to fruition or not. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, I'll believe it when I see it, but we've had extensive talks about that, and it just is one of those situations where I'll believe it when I see it. Although I think it would be really great because, I'm championing for retail investors in all equities, not just AMC, not just GameStop,
Well, I wouldn't give up hope. And here's why.
I'm giving up hope. It's just one of those where it's like, I'm hesitant,
If Matt Kors can make it on fucking Fox Business, there's no reason that you can't get it.
That's fucked up, man. I've reached out to Charles Payne.
Cucumber Tara gets on fucking Fox Business. And she was awkward as fuck. She was not comfortable on that. I don't know if
Oh, she was terrible. She didn't know shit.
So
No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't speak poorly about other people, but that was pathetic.
Actually, Keenan was pretty good. I
Mhm.
liked him.
Yeah, he did okay.
Trey was pretty comfortable. Matt Kors was just his normal fucking. I hate him so much.
No comment. Matt Kors doesn't even know what a hedge is, my friend.
Yeah, it's just he's all about himself.
Mhm.
That is true, and that's fine. That's he is what he is. But it's not about helping other people. It's about how he can help himself. So that's how I feel about that. But There's no
Can I say a
reason.
few more things?
Yes,
I'm gonna jump
go ahead, buddy. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just felt the need that to clarify for
Oh,
some
yeah, no
people
problem.
because
Yeah, it's just,
yeah,
just a
go ahead.
conversation,
Mhm.
a conversation we're all having. I appreciate all you guys' input. So, I don't know if everybody knows that, but, the 4th series of the Trump cards came out on Thursday night. So I would rush in there and buy some Trump cards if I was you. This is the Bitcoin series. The 15 pack is probably the way to go. You get, and I'm not soliciting for them. I'm not making any money for them, but you get 15 Trump cards.
Click
for like
Greg's
four-
Telegram link to buy Trump cards now.
Well, listen, I bought the second series. I got the mugshot series where you get a real card and you get a piece of his suit, and that's selling on eBay already for like $6,000.
Wow.
Oh,
I mean,
jeez.
Yeah, so they're going up in value. They're going up in value. But if you look at these the Trump series, this is like a Bitcoin series and crypto president. So I'm one of the Q guys. I'm way far down the rabbit hole. So I see all the dots connecting, and I think as where we are, it's just Boss Blunt and Aaron. I know Aaron, you're down the rabbit hole. I don't think you are that much because you're so boss as far as what you're embedded in. You just go gun ho for the finance stuff. But I see it all connecting. So I think that the timing of it is all going to happen. It's just a matter of when. I think that the Trump team is well organized with this crypto stuff. And if you guys watched the convention, Trump was at the Bitcoin convention. RFK was there. There was a lot of other great speakers. Michael Saylor was talking about Bitcoin being at about 50 million a coin in 20 years from now. And with some of the crypto cards, if you study some of them, they show Trump in all gold wearing Bitcoin glasses. So that is significantly telling me that we're going to have some sort of crypto-backed gold currency system, going on. So I encourage everyone to go on there, maybe buy some cards, make an investment. History is being made fucking right now. I'm so happy that I got to, even though this movie is a fucking disaster over the last 8 years and it's crazy, I'm so happy that we got a chance to actually be present in it and actually watching history being unfolded. Boss, last thing I want to say to you is I love your fucking opening song. Gary Ginsler, go get the fucking printing press.
Yes, my man. Thank you. You're awesome. Thanks so much. I really
I've always
appreciate
been a
it.
big fan of that Cowboy Bebop song. That thing, it's
fun. I love it. Sometimes I just rewind it and listen to that twice.
Full credit goes to the seatbelts on that, and my friend Zabi, he went ahead and put my voice into it and did all the editing for it just to put my voice in the song. And I just think it's the best thing ever, not because of me, but because I love the seatbelts and the song Tank is what it's called.
It's so fucking great.
It's
guys,
cool.
I'll let you guys, I'll let somebody else jump on. You guys are the best, man. Thanks for everything.
Thanks so much, man. You're a rock star.
Thanks, guys.
all right. I'm just sharing a quick thing here real quick. I have all my NFTs.
Nice.
Matt Kors, where are yours?
Where's yours, Matt Kors? That's probably what his boyfriend says to him when he looks
I
down.
even got the Visa one. But yeah, I've got all my NFTs. They're all here. So,
Very nice. Yeah, I got a couple of those as well. I don't have all of those, but I have some of them.
yeah, some of them were weird timing and they didn't advertise them real heavy. So but that's pretty neat. So we got one last person here with their hand up. The blood has literally drained out of their fingertips. They've had that hand up for so long. It is CB. CB, how are you doing tonight? Welcome aboard. There's the mute button. And hello. Oh, I hear.
Are you there?
Yes, we're here. You're live and on the air with Marcel and Aaron from AMC Archive. Thank you for playing.
Hey, thanks guys for doing this. It's been too long, and the wife and I really love it. So, couple things, boss. When you first opened it up, I think that we invested in the company, but I haven't seen a credit card charge come through, so I'm not sure whether it finalized or not.
Okay. Real quick, obviously, in order to invest in the company, you go to the funding portal called Silicon Prairie, right? And you make a subscription, and then you fund the pledge after that. So did you go ahead and fund the pledge afterwards?
Yeah, we did, and
Okay.
and we selected the credit card option, but I haven't seen a charge come through for it.
Okay. With credit cards, it does take, I think, like a week or so. But you know what, man? Feel free to shoot me an email, and I will send it over to the Silicon Prairie, right? And I'll have them take a look at it and confirm. So yeah, Marcel Kalinovic at gmail.com. Yeah, it's phonetic. It's easy to spell. But yeah, just Google it or Google me and shoot me an email, and I'll send it over to the funding portal. Yeah, man. Yeah, I appreciate it, and we'll double check for you.
Right on. All right. Well, keep up the good work. I know you guys are fighting hard, and we appreciate it. So, Aaron, let's not wait so long, okay?
Yeah, I know. I've been busy. I've got the rentals going this year, and the call center's still going. So it's been a really busy summer. So now, I mean, as we're getting into the fall here, I think I'm going to have a little bit more time. So definitely going to start being a little more regular with my podcasts.
What's your name,
miss it
bud?
too.
I didn't catch your name. What was your name?
Oh, my name's Coy, COY.
Coy. Very nice to meet you. And I want to say thank you to you, Coy, and your wife as well for your investment in Lit Exchange. And I really appreciate your trust. And you might have seen my daughter, come in, and two of my daughters barge in on the screen. I got 4. I'm doing it for them just as much as I'm doing it for you and your family. And I will not do anything to let you or let those little girls down, my friend. So I appreciate your investment, and I'll make sure that we take good care of the company and make retail investors proud. So thanks again for your trust.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I read virtually all of the 120 pages. Skipped a few things.
Dedicated.
But
good.
I did read most all of it before I decided to sign up. But that was the first day that it came out, so it was within 24
Awesome.
hours.
Wonderful.
And so, but yeah, love your kids. They are just too darn cute, and we really appreciate the realness. You guys are real. You tell it like it is, but you can't obviously say certain things. So, and we can appreciate that.
Thanks,
so
man.
as Aaron was saying, it's the quality of equalization of equalizers. So
it's the equal.
Anyway,
No,
thanks,
you're
guys.
right, Coy.
Appreciate it,
You're
and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks again.
Appreciate you.
Aaron's like me. Is like, we speak our mind and we say anything we want to. It's just in the sense that what I'd like to tell you about Lit Exchange, I legally can't say. So it's like, that's why I tell people, please go look at the offering. Please go look at the Silicon Prairie funding portal, because there's a lot of things in that document that'll make you say, holy shit, this is awesome. And aside from that, like I can't say more, because I love those kids and I don't want to get fucked by the SEC. So I got to be very careful. And I think this is a fantastic opportunity for everybody involved. So thanks again, Coy, to you and your wife. Appreciate you guys.
It's really easy though. Everybody, you guys got the link. It's the pinned comment in the Rumble. It's also in the Telegram channel. Go check it out. Take some time. It's not something you have to do. It's something
Exactly.
that you
Just scope it out and see if it's something you might be interested in.
Something you're interested in. Absolutely, check it out. I do have a request from my Rumble comments here.
Okay.
Surely not everybody was kung fu fighting.
Oh, let me see that. Let me see that. Not everybody was kung fu fighting. That's great.
Golden retrievers. So, but I'm a big retro gamer.
And GameStop just came out with new retro locations right here in Dallas and others around the country, which is pretty cool.
Here is my setup.
Wow, you got the N64? Is that you got the original
Top
PlayStation?
shelf is PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, gotta go this way.
Oh yeah, the whole spread.
Sega Dreamcast, and then a Sega Saturn. Okay, I can't.
Yes.
Then a Sega Genesis with the CD add-on underneath it. Xbox 360. Down here we got Nintendo,
Super Nintendo, the NES.
64. There's the Wii, the GameCube.
Yes.
You start getting obscure down here. This is a Turbo Duo, so it's the Turbo Graphics with the CD-ROM inside of it.
Wow.
Then a 3DO, the middle there. And then the bottom one, this one's super rare. Most people don't have this one or even heard of it. Atari Jaguar with the CD attachment.
I saw the Atari down there. You can't miss it. That's great. That's a bit of a fire hazard there, Aaron. Holy shit. I love it.
Here's some Atari games with the boxes.
Oh, this is epic. I think GameStop headquarters is going to call you.
I used to run a video game store.
Yeah?
3D up here. Got Sega Saturn games there. This is almost right here in this rack. Is almost an entire collection of TurboGrafx 16 cards.
Whoa, you're legit, Aaron. This is more than I expected.
I am a serious retro gamer.
Awesome.
I have a lot of retro games. way lot. But yeah. No, it's fun though.
It is.
And of course I've got my popcorn bucket.
R2 popcorn bucket. My man, supporting GameStop and AMC single-handedly.
I want a claptrap one.
What the fuck is
So
that?
bad.
What is the claptrap?
The claptrap one is from Borderlands. Hold on.
I gotta Google this.
And I want it so bad. Here it is. I got it right here. Share it.
Oh, this little guy. Oh, yeah. That's familiar.
And like the eye lights up and stuff. But I want the claptrap one so bad.
And it's wild to think that people are selling these and they're actually going for $60 plus for these,
yeah.
you know, these popcorn buckets. Like,
All these popcorn buckets, they're all over eBay and they
Mhm.
sell like crazy.
AMC's on the
problem
money.
For me is I would go get my own, but the closest AMC is like friggin' 8 hours away.
We're gonna have to send Aaron one of these buckets, guys. We're gonna have to send one of them.
I would appreciate that. I'll pay for it. Like
No,
I'll pay for it and the shipping and everything. I would love to have one of the claptrap.
I get it. It's not always about the money. It's probably just more about the principle, isn't it? You're like, I don't know if I want to fucking give this guy, you know, $60 for this used popcorn bucket and shit. You know, I get it.
Such a cool man. Borderlands is a really funny game, and Claptrap is very enjoyable. I don't know if you ever played any Borderlands, but
Yep. The Borderlands games were pretty awesome. As a matter of fact, right now I'm playing Fallout right now.
nice.
Just kind of like, you know,
fantastic.
post-apocalyptic type world, you know, it's kind of on the same thing there. I ended up watching the series and I'm like, yeah, I got to get back into Fallout. So I started playing it. But yeah, it reminds me a lot of Borderlands when I was playing that, which is a lot of fun. Well, all right, Aaron, thanks again for having me, my friend. I think we should probably wrap it up here, even though you've been amazing. Thanks for giving us almost 3 hours of your time and expertise in the matter.
Well, I appreciate. We need to get together more often. Is what it is. It's been too long,
Yep.
and we used to get together quite often, and we need to do that
Mhm.
more often.
Yeah, we definitely got to make that happen. It's fun. And we don't always have to necessarily get together for this long. So don't think that, even though, you know, I'm not like Jerome Powell where I come too fast, you know, but I mean, I'm a good steady date, but we don't have to, you know, we don't have to be on the podcast for 3 hours every time, just so you know, we could do shorter ones in the future.
For sure. For sure. This
All right,
was a
guys.
catch up, so we had to catch up.
Yep.
But appreciate having you on, and you know, and I'll keep spreading the word around, and let me know if I can do anything for you, bud.
All right. Thanks a lot, Aaron. Thank you guys. I appreciate all of you. Thanks for your questions on YouTube and Telegram, Rumble, TikTok, you guys name it. Feel free to follow Aaron on Twitter at AMC4all. Is that right?
AMC for everyone. on
AMC for everyone. Excuse me.
Number
AMC for everyone. Awesome. Thanks again, buddy.
Twitter. All right, bud. Hey, you